Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Imam al-Anbiya wal Mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma arna al-haqqa haqqa wa razaqna attiba'a wa arna al-batila batila wa razaqna ijtinaba. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this, another of our sittings. Today we'll be covering the topic, how to be sincere to Allah. This topic was requested. It was requested of me to go through the sincerity series. How to be sincere to Allah, how to be sincere to the Holy Quran, how to be sincere to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, how to be sincere to your Muslim brothers and sisters, and how to be sincere to the Muslim leaders. The opposite of sincerity is hypocrisy, nifaq, and sincerity is called ikhlas. There is a surah in the Quran which is called Surah Ikhlas. This surah is equal to a third of the Holy Quran. Therefore, not until you read it, believe it, and practice it, you are not a real Muslim. Surah 112, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدْ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدْ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Not until you read it, believe it, and practice it, you cannot be classified as a sincere Muslim, a real Muslim. This surah is called the Surah of Ikhlas, Surah Ikhlas. So the opposite of Ikhlas is nifaq, hypocrisy. And Allah said, Innal munafiqeen fi darkil asfali min an-nar. Verily the hypocrites shall be in the bottom of the hellfire. And you'll never find any nasir, any helper for the hypocrites. In order for you to be sincere to Allah, 14 conditions have to be found. If one condition is missing, you are not sincere to Allah Ta'ala. So what are these 14 conditions? If one condition is missing, you are not sincere to Allah Ta'ala. What you are practicing is nifaq, hypocrisy, not sincerity. Sincerity is when you are real. Sincerity is when you are real. And sincerity is when there is no contradiction in your aqa'id, in your beliefs, and there is no contradiction in your actions. And there is no contradiction between the Quran and your actions. So how can there be a contradiction between the Quran and your actions? The Quran says, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Therefore, we don't want you to worship the graves. We don't want to see any contradiction between the Quran and your actions. Because he, the Prophet, was the walking Quran. Kana khuluquhu al-Quran. 14 conditions have to be found in order for you to be sincere to Allah. If one condition is missing, you are not sincere to Allah. And therefore, when I go through these 14 conditions, you can find out if you are living with a sincere person or you are living with a munafiq, a hypocrite. When I go through these 14 conditions that are necessary to be found for you to be a real Muslim, a sincere Muslim, you will realize if you are living with a believer or a munafiq, a hypocrite. So what are these conditions? The first condition, you need to believe that Allah exists without having doubts about His existence. So if you wake up one morning and you doubt that Allah exists, you are no longer a Muslim. Allah spoke about people like you in Baqarah verse 10. Allah said, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. In their heart is a disease, and Allah has increased their disease. The disease which Allah is speaking about in Baqarah verse 10 is the disease of doubt. You doubt the existence of Allah. You doubt the existence of paradise and the hellfire. You doubt whether or not Muhammad was a prophet. You doubt if the Quran is Kalamullah, the speech of Allah. You have doubts. That means you're a munafiq. Because a munafiq has doubts about his faith. So these are the people Allah Ta'ala is speaking about in Baqarah verse 10. Those who have doubts about their faith. If you doubt your faith, you have lost your faith. As simple as that. If you doubt your faith, you have lost your faith. You have no faith. Because you are not allowed to mix your iman with doubts the way you are not allowed to mix Zamzam water with urine and drink it. You can't mix Zamzam water with urine and drink it. That water is not fit for human consumption. Likewise, you are not allowed to mix your Iman with doubts and expect for Allah Ta'ala to accept your Iman from you. Allah said in Surah Hijra, Surah 49, verse 15, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. The sincere believers are those who believe in Allah and His Messenger and then they have no doubts. But instead they do jihad. They wage jihad with their wealth and their persons. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. The sincere believers are only those who believe in Allah and His Messenger and then they have no doubts. وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. But they wage jihad with their amwal, their wealth and their persons in the path of Allah. They are the truthful ones. They are not the fake ones, they are the truthful ones. Surah Hujurat verse 15. So this is the first condition for you to be sincere to Allah. You need to believe that Allah exists without having doubts about His existence. We have refuted the atheists many times in this room. We don't have time to refute them now. For those of you who want to learn how to refute an atheist, go get the link from the admins. The second condition, to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only creator. So Allah Ta'ala has 99 names and attributes. One of them is Al-Khaliq. Al means the one and only. If you call a person Malik, that is halal. Because we had an Imam called Imam Malik. But if you say Al-Malik, that's haram. Because Al-Malik means the King of Kings. Al means the one and only. So when you say Allah is Al-Khaliq, you are saying Allah is the one and only creator. Therefore, we believe that Allah Ta'ala creates everything, good and bad. Allah said, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ. Say, I seek refuge in Allah from the evil that He, Allah, has created. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ. This surah is clear evidence that Allah creates good as well as bad. Because you seek refuge from the evil that Allah Ta'ala has created. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ. From the evil of what He has created. When you say He with the big H, that means Allah. He with the small h means a man, an ordinary man. But He with the big H means Allah. And it is shirk to use the big H to describe a man. Say He and use the big H. That's only for Allah. That's shirk. And it is haram to spell God with the small g when you are referring to Allah. God with the small g is a false God. God with the big G is Allah, and God with the small g means a false God. It is haram to spell God with the small g if you are talking about Allah. I've seen many Muslims do that because they don't know the difference between the small g and the big G. He with the big H is Allah, and He with the small h means an ordinary man. Therefore, we believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only creator. Even the Kafirs of Mecca, who worship Lat, Uzza, Hubal, Manat, they believe Allah was the one and only creator. So Allah said in Surah Luqman, Surah 31, verse 25, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَكُونَ اللَّهُ. If you ask them, the pagan Arabs of Mecca, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth, they will say to you, Allah. This concept is called Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. To believe that Allah Ta'ala is the one and only creator. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. To believe that Allah is the one and only creator. Even the Kafirs of Mecca believe in it. Allah said, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَكُونَ اللَّهُ قُلْ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say all the praise is due to Allah. Since Allah is the only creator, say to them, O Muhammad, all the praise belongs to Allah and Allah alone. Qul alhamdulillah. Bal aktharum la ya'lamun. But the majority of them do not realize it. They worship false deities. To be sincere to Allah, you need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only creator. The Mu'tazilites, they went astray in regards to this Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, because they believe man creates his own actions. A'udhu billah. The Mu'tazilites, what do they say? Man creates his own actions. A'udhu billah. How can people go astray in regards to Tawheed like that? Man creates his own actions. A'udhu billah. That is shirk. That means you believe that there are creators beside Allah. Your Aqidah, Mr. Mu'tazilite, your Aqidah contradicts the Holy Quran. Because Allah said in Surah 37, verse 96. Surah Safat 96. Wallah khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Allah creates you and all your actions. That is the Aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Allah creates you and Allah creates your actions. Any other Aqidah than this is shirk, because you are claiming that there are creators beside Allah. Wallah khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. And He, Allah, creates you and all your actions. So those of you who prayed Salatul Fajr this morning, your action of praying Fajr was created by Allah. So if your action was created by Allah, why there is reward and punishment? There is reward and punishment because no one put a gun at your head and bully you to get up and pray Fajr. You did it of your own free will. You were a free human being exercising your free will. That's why there is reward and punishment, because the concept of free will is still with you. Allah is the only creator, therefore Allah creates your actions. Even though Allah creates your action, there is a thing called paradise and hellfire. Why? Because you were a free human being exercising your free will. Paradise for those who use their free will to do good. Hellfire for those who use their free will to do bad. And because of that, Allah said in Surah Shams, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ. Successful is the one who uses free will to do good deeds and purify his soul. And he is a failure who uses free will to do haram and corrupt his soul. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Surah Shams. Therefore, this is our Aqidah, that man did not create his own actions. Allah created your actions, because there is only one creator. And for you to believe that there are creators beside Allah, you are a mushrik and you nullify Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. The third condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to believe in Allah Ta'ala's 99 names and attributes. You believe in Allah Ta'ala's 99 names and attributes without tashbih, without making Allah similar to man. Without tashbih, without making Allah similar to man. So if you imagine Allah and you think of Allah and you put Allah on the same even keel as a man, you have committed shirk in your heart. And you don't believe in the surah قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Say Allah Ta'ala is one. He is As-Samad, the Eternal. Lam Yalid Walam Yulad. Allah did not beget kids, neither was He born from the womb of any woman. Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. There is nothing in the heavens above nor on earth that resembles Allah. Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. There is nothing that resembles Allah, neither in the heavens nor on earth. So if you imagine Allah, you think of Allah, and you make Allah similar to man in your hearts, already you're a mushrik, because you make Allah similar to His creation, even though Allah Ta'ala said, Laysa kamithlihi shay. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Surah 42 verse 11. Laysa kamithlihi shay. There is nothing in the heavens above nor on earth that resembles Allah. Surah 42 verse 11. This ayah, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, is similar to the ayah, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There is nothing in the heavens above nor the earth below that resembles Allah. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. When you study fiqh and you study marriage, the fiqh of marriage, there is a bab, a chapter called kafa'a. You can Google this if you have never heard it before. Kafa'a. Kafa'a means the Muslim father, when he is looking a husband for his daughter, he should look for a man who is equal to her in her taqwa. Not a drug dealer, equal to her in her taqwa. Equal to her in her profession. If your daughter is a doctor, you can't marry her to a man who works on the garbage truck. You can't marry her to that man, because there is no kafa'a. Kafa'a means equal, to be equal, adequate, to be equal to your daughter in status. Your daughter is a doctor and you marry her to a man who cleans toilets? Are you serious? Are you for real? Have you lost your mind? You have to marry her to a man who is equal to her in her status. I don't want to go into kafa'a because it can create fitna. I'll stop there. Because already some of you are saying, I don't agree with you, Shaikh Faisal. If my daughter is a doctor and she falls in love with a man who works on the garbage truck, why should I oppose the marriage? That's who she loves. That's what some of you are thinking. Already, that's what some of you are thinking. So I don't want to create any more fitna. I continue with the topic. I'll stop here for today in regards to kafa'a. So how is that word relevant to our topic? Kafa'a means equal, to be equal, of the same status. The same word is used in the Quran when Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Ikhlas, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Allah has no kufuwan. The same word, kafa'a. Mean Allah has no co-equal. So the moment you sit at home and you think of Allah, you imagine Allah, and you put Allah on the same level as a man, you are a mushrik and a kafir, because you don't believe in the ayah وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Therefore we see and Allah sees, but Allah is the all-seeing. We hear and Allah hears, but Allah is the all-hearing. To be sincere to Allah, you need to believe in Allah's 99 names and attributes, without tashbih, without making Allah similar to His creation, without takyif, without specificity, without howness, takyif. So you read you read the hadith many times. ينزل ربنا تبارك وتعالى كل ليلة إذا بقي ثلث الليل الأخير. The last third of the night. Every night Allah descends and asks, who is asking me something so that I can give it to him? Who is making a dua so that I can answer his dua? Who is doing istighfar so that I can forgive him of his sins? You don't say how Allah descend. Don't upset the sheikhs by saying how does Allah descend. That question is inappropriate. Don't ask that question, please. How does Allah descend? Accept that Allah descends in a way that befits His dignity and majesty. Don't forget when the man said to Imam Malik, how is Allah over the arsh? Is He sitting, leaning, or reclining? Imam Malik said, Al-istiwa' ma'loom, on is known. Wal kayf majhul, how Allah is over the throne is unknown. Wal iman bihi wajib, to believe that Allah is on the throne, it is wajib. I hope the Brahmins and the Goofy Sufis and the Shiites are listening, and the Ash'ara. To believe that Allah is over the arsh is wajib. It is called ma'loom min ad-din bid-darura, that which is known of Islam by necessity, because Allah said in Surah 20 verse 5, Ar-Rahman al-arsh istawa. To believe that Allah is over the arsh is wajib. I hope the Brahmins and the Goofy Sufis are listening, and the Shady Shiites and the Ash'ara. because they are the ones who don't want to accept that Allah is over the arsh, even though the text is clear. Who told you you're allowed to make ijtihad when the text is clear? Who told you you're allowed to make ijtihad when the text is clear? If you make ijtihad when the text is clear, you have made up your own religion. Believing it is wajib and asking about it is bid'ah, and I don't think that you are anything but an innovator. Then he ordered that the man be expelled. Abu Na'im al-Asbahani. Okay, why did Imam Malik kick the man out of the study circle? Don't you know why? Because hypocrisy is contagious, just like the AIDS virus. Hypocrisy is contagious, just like the AIDS virus. And because hypocrisy is contagious like the AIDS virus, the person was kicked out of the study circle of Imam Malik. I'm sure you have seen admins bounce people from the room all the time. Those who were bounced from the room, they were hypocrites and low-life scums of the earth. That's why the admins bounced them. They were hypocrites and low-life scums of the earth. That's why they got bounced. Why they got bounced? Because hypocrisy is contagious, just like the AIDS virus. Imam Malik wasn't the first to kick a person out of his study circle, and he won't be the last. Before Imam Malik, Hassan al-Basri kicked a Mu'tazilite out of his study circle, Wasil ibn Atta. And after Imam Malik, Ahmed ibn Hanbal kicked Dawood al-Zahiri out of his study circle because he said the Quran was created. Four great Imams used to make takfir on those who say the Quran was created. The four great Imams used to make takfir on those who say the Quran was created because Allah doesn't create any of His 99 names and attributes. And according to Baqarah 120, the Quran is ilmullah, the knowledge of Allah. Allah doesn't create His own knowledge. To believe in His 99 names and attributes without tajseem, the Mujassima. Who is the Mujassima? The Mujassima believes Allah has a body like your body. A'udhu billah. That is the Mujassima. We don't believe in tajseem. To believe Allah has a body like your body. That is the Mujassima. We believe in Allah's 99 names and attributes without ta'til. So who is the Mu'attila? Ta'til. Ta'til means rejection. They reject Allah's names and attributes. The Mu'tazilites, they reject Allah's 99 names and attributes. Ta'til means rejection. They claim Allah is one God, and Ar-Rahman is another God, and Ar-Rahim is another God. They said Ar-Rahman is another God beside Allah. So when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you are calling upon three gods. That's the Aqeedah of the Mu'tazilites. Even though Allah Ta'ala has 99 names and attributes. Did you know the scholars differ? Is Allah one of His 99 names? Expect to find this difference of opinion among the scholars of Islam. The scholars, they can't make up their mind, is Allah one of His 99 names and attributes? Expect to find the scholars split right down the middle about this question I've just put in front of you. Allah is a name, and Allah is called Al-Ism Al-Azam, the greatest name. Allah is a name, and Allah is called Al-Ism Al-Azam, the greatest name. Then you have 99 other names describing Allah. Someone said to me in a debate, where is your evidence that Al-Hadi is one of Allah's 99 names? Why did the scholars of Islam agree unanimously among themselves that Al-Hadi is one of His 99 names? The reason why the scholars agree unanimously among themselves that Allah is Al-Hadi, the guide, and no one else is Al-Hadi, is because of Surah 28 verse 56. The Prophet saw his uncle Abu Talib died on his deathbed as a kafir, a mushrik, outside the fold of Islam, and the Prophet could not give his uncle Iman or Hidayah. So Allah revealed Surah 28 verse 56, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. You, Muhammad, cannot guide to Islam those who you want to guide. Only me, Allah, can guide. This is the ayah that caused the scholars to agree unanimously among themselves. Allah is Al-Hadi, the only one who can guide. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. You, Muhammad, cannot guide to Islam those who you like. Only me, Allah, can guide. Only me, Allah, is Al-Hadi. This is the ayah, and this is the story that caused the Sahaba, the scholars to agree unanimously among themselves that Al-Hadi is one of Allah Ta'ala's 99 names and attributes. Only Allah is the guide. We believe in Allah's 99 names and attributes without tafweed. We believe in Allah's 99 names and attributes without tafweed. So who is the Mufawwidah? The Mufawwidah is the agnostic Muslim. Whenever you ask him what is the meaning of Allah's name Al-Karim, he says, I don't know, Allahu Alam. Every question you ask him, he says, Allahu Alam, Allahu Alam. The Mufawwidah, the agnostic Muslim, they believe that we don't have a clue what Allah's 99 names and attributes mean. This Aqidah of the Mufawwidah is ridiculous because Ibn Taymiyyah debated with them, and Ibn Taymiyyah asked them the question, do you agree, do you believe Allah's names are beautiful names? They said, yes, they are beautiful names. Ibn Taymiyyah said, how did you arrive at the conclusion that they were beautiful names if you did not know the meaning of these names? How on earth did you arrive at the conclusion that these names of Allah were beautiful names if you did not know the meaning of these names? So they were checkmated by Ibn Taymiyyah. So we believe in Allah's 99 names and attributes without tashbih, without takyif, without ta'til, without tajsim, and without tafweed. Therefore, we are not mushabbiha, those who make Allah similar to man. Mu'attila, those who reject Allah's names and attributes. Mujassima, those who believe Allah has a body like our body. Mufawwida, those who are agnostic Muslims, claiming we don't know what Allah's names mean. Allahu Alam for every question they are asked. You are lying when you say you don't know what Allah's name means. Kareem is kind, and kind is the opposite of stingy. Al-Adl is the just, and to be just is the opposite of being a tyrant and an oppressor. Al-Alim, the one with knowledge, is the opposite of Jahil. So when you say you don't know what Allah's names and attributes means, you are lying. You know the meaning, but you don't know the reality. You know the meaning, but you don't know the reality. When Allah Ta'ala said in Surah 38 verse 75, O Iblis, why didn't you bow down to the one I created with my two hands? No Sahaba approached the Prophet and said, what is the meaning of the word hands? I challenge you to find me that hadith. Okay, since you can't find a Sahih hadith, find me a weak hadith where a Sahaba approached the Prophet and said, O Messenger of Allah, what is the meaning of the word hands? No Sahaba asked the Prophet such a ridiculous question. It's nowadays because people have no taqwa they ask this question. Allah has two hands, but they don't resemble your hands. That is your Aqidah. Allah has two hands, but they don't resemble your hands. What is the likeness of Allah's hands? Well, that question is bid'ah. So since the question is bid'ah, why am I asking you the question? To teach you what is bid'ah. It is haram to ask a scholar what is the likeness of Allah's hands. How can he describe Allah's hands to you? Did he see Allah? What kind of a question is that? It is compulsory on you to believe that Allah has two hands, but they don't look like your hands. The reason why some people have a problem to accept the ayah, Surah 38 verse 75, O Iblis, why didn't you bow down to the one I created with my two hands? Is because in your heart and your mind, you have kufr and shirk in your heart and mind. You are making Allah similar to man in your heart and in your mind. So because you have kufr and shirk in your heart and your mind, and you are making Allah similar to man in your heart, this is why you can't accept the ayah. If your heart was pure, then you'll be able to accept the ayah. And how does your heart become pure? Your heart is pure if you believe that Allah has two hands, but they don't resemble your hands. Only then your heart is pure. If your heart is like that of the Shia, the Mu'tazila, the Asha'ira, the Shia, the Mu'tazila, the Asha'ira, the Goofy Sufi, then you will never accept the ayah. You will say, I will never believe Allah has two hands. You know why you can't believe it? Because you're a Shia, Asha'ira, Mu'tazila, Sufi. In their hearts, they make Allah similar to man. In their hearts, they think that Allah has the same hands like your hands. And because they make Allah similar to man, they reject the ayah that Allah doesn't. They reject the ayah and they say Allah doesn't have two hands. They have kufr and shirk in their hearts and minds. So they say the ayah means, why didn't you bow down to the one I created with my two powers? Because they said two hands means two powers. They borrowed the Aqidah of two powers from the Zoroastrians of Iran. Make up your mind. Do you want to be a Muslim or do you want to be a Zoroastrian? Because you are speaking like a Zoroastrian with your Aqidah of two powers. You need to make up your mind. Are you a Muslim or a Zoroastrian? When you read the ayahs of the Quran where Allah Ta'ala spoke about his two hands, his face, his shin, you accept them as they appear in the Quran without tashbih, making Allah similar to man. Without ta'wil. What is ta'wil? What is ta'wil? Ta'wil means to put a spin on the ayah. That is ta'wil. To put a spin on the ayah, it's called ta'wil. But if you give the right interpretation of the ayah, it is called tafsir. It becomes a tafsir when you give the right interpretation of the ayah, the right explanation. But when you put a spin on the ayah, it is called in Arabic ta'wil. When you read the Quran and you see where Allah said, "O Iblis, why didn't you bow down to the one I created with both of my hands?" Your attitude towards the ayah, you read it, you believe it, and you leave it. Don't put a spin on it. Because if you put a spin on the ayah and we ask you for your evidence, you can't provide any evidence. You make an ass of yourself. You can't bring us any evidence. And Allah told you in Surah 6 verse 68, when you meet those who argue about Allah Ta'ala's signs, abstain from them. Surah 6 verse 68. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ. When you meet those who make a mockery of Allah's deen, argue about Allah's signs, Allah's revelations, al-khawd, abstain from them. Don't sit with them. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. And when you see those who engage in a false conversation about our verses, by mocking at them, stay away from them till they turn to another topic, another discourse. And if the shaitan causes you to forget, then after you remember, sit not in their company. Those people who are the zalimun. When they want to make a mockery of your aqidah, they'll say to you, if you believe Allah is over the arsh, where was Allah before He created His arsh? Every Sufi will ask you that question, thinking he can checkmate you. What will he say? Since you believe Allah is over the arsh, where was Allah before He created His arsh? Every goofy Sufi will ask you that question to make a mockery, thinking he can checkmate you. The answer is Allah knows best. Don't commit yourself to an answer. Don't commit yourself to an answer. Say to them, Allah knows best. They will say to you, I will never believe Allah is over the arsh because it is wrong to take the Quran literally. We are refuting the Mu'attila. They claim the reason why we will never believe Allah is over the arsh is because we don't take the Quran literally. That's their argument. So they are making ijtihad when the text is clear. Their state is pitiful, appalling, and pathetic. They are making ijtihad when the text is clear. The goofy Sufi says we don't take the Quran literally. Look who is talking. What a hypocrite. No one takes the Quran more literally than a goofy Sufi. if you don't take the Quran literally, why did you take Baqarah 115 literally? Allah said, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. Unto Allah belongs the Mashriq, the East, and the West, the Maghrib. Wherever you turn your face, you'll find the face of Allah. Baqarah 115. You take this ayah literally and you use it as your hujjah to say, look, look, Allah is everywhere. What a hypocrite. You claim, I will never believe Allah is over the arsh because I don't take the Quran literally. Nobody takes the Quran more literally than a goofy Sufi. You take Baqarah 115 literally. And you use it as your hujjah to say Allah is everywhere. Because Allah Ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. Unto Allah belongs the Mashriq and the Maghrib, the East and the West. فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you turn your face, you'll find the face of Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah is all sufficient for His creatures' needs, the all-knowing. You take the ayah literally and you use it as your hujjah to say Allah is everywhere. So who are you to criticize people for taking the Quran literally? Likewise, you take another ayah literally. Surah 50 verse 16. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبْ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. We are closer to you than your jugular vein. You use that ayah to support your aqidah of wahdatul wujud. Is not so? Surah Qaf verse 16. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبْ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. We are nearer to Him than His jugular vein. You use that ayah to say Allah Ta'ala dwells within the body of people. And when the man becomes Allah, he doesn't have to pray anymore because he is Allah. Khalas. There is nobody for him to pray to. Wahdatul wujud. No one takes the Quran more literally than a goofy Sufi. But you're a hypocrite, you take the Quran literally when it suits you. And when it doesn't suit you, you say this ayah is figurative. You're a hypocrite. You keep chopping and changing. You are like the Shiites. When I debate with the Shiites, when it suits them, they quote hadith. But when it doesn't suit them, they don't quote hadith. They say the hadith is fabricated. You are just like the Shiites. You keep chopping and changing with your creed with no set rules. What a hypocrite. Anyway, we continue with our doubts. The fourth condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only lawgiver. The fourth condition for you to be sincere to Allah, you need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only lawgiver. Now, sometimes you will go to a khutbah and the Imam is giving a speech and the topic is khamr, intoxicant. And the Imam will say it is rife in the country, it's pandemic. And then the Imam will say Allah curses 10 people, the one who plant the grapes for alcohol to be used. The grape is used to make alcohol. The one who makes it, the one who transports it, the one who sells it, the one who drinks it. And he mentioned the 10 people who Allah cursed who dabble in alcohol. And then you leave the masjid, you say, what a wonderful khutbah. I'm sorry, it's not a good khutbah. Because the Imam did not tell you you need to implement Sharia in the country to get rid of the factories that produce alcohol. Did he say that? He did not. So how did he leave the masjid and say, what a wonderful khutbah? Who told you the Quran should only be in the four corners of the masjid? What about taking it in the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Exterior, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Education? Did you take the Quran in these ministries? So why did you leave the masjid and say what a wonderful khutbah? Did the Imam say we need to implement Sharia? This country is a so-called Muslim country. A so-called Muslim country like Egypt. Jordan, Pakistan. So why do we have alcohol in the country? We need to implement Sharia in the country to get rid of the alcohol problem we are having. If he did not say that in the khutbah, it's not a good khutbah. I'm sorry, the khutbah is lopsided. The reason why you left the masjid and say what a wonderful khutbah is because you are very, very secular in your mentality. You don't want to take the Quran on the state level. You want to keep it on the individual level. You think religion is an individual thing. Who told you religion is an individual thing? Haven't you heard about the Islamic State? The Prophet was a walking Quran, yes, but didn't he implement the Islamic State of Medina? He established an Islamic State. Who told you religion is an individual thing? That's a secularist mentality. You are too secular in your thinking. Haven't you heard about Darul Islam, where Sharia is implemented? And the opposite of that is Darul Harb and Darul Kufr. So you need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only Hakim. Because one of Allah's 99 names and attributes is Al-Hakam, the judge. And don't tell me when we dismantle the Sharia, it's a minor kufr. If that's your aqidah, you are insulting Allah. You are trying to say to Allah, your law is insignificant, unimportant, totally irrelevant. I can dislodge your law, the Sharia, and I'm still a Muslim, perfect in Iman. That is the aqidah of the Madkhalis, the Saudi Salafis. If that's your aqidah, you're a sure loser. If that's what you believe, you're a sure loser. You're a loser. You're a hypocrite and a loser. And when the Hujjah is established, you have no choice, you have to accept the Hujjah. Didn't you see what happened at the Battle of Nahrawan when Ali sent Ibn Abbas to establish the Hujjah? Those who embrace the Hujjah, he spared their lives. And those who reject the Hujjah, he chopped off their heads. I'm not telling you to go chopping off the heads of the Saudi Salafis in London and New York. I'm not propagating that. I know some of you would like to do that. Leave them alone because they are in Dar al-Harb. They are being protected by the Tawhut. They are in bed with the Tawhut. That's why they are so brave in promoting their kufr. They are in bed with the Tawhut. Didn't you hear what their Sheikh Salih Al-Fawzan said? The greatest jihad is to catch the Mujahideen and hand over to the Crusaders. Because they are terrorists. The Madkhalis, the Saudi Salafis, they are in bed with the Tawhut. The greatest jihad is to kill the Mujahideen. That is their sheikhs. That's the Aqidah in that Jama'ah. These people are toxic. To belong to their Jama'ah is like being on crack cocaine. It's very important that when a person is learning Tawheed, you give them the right Aqidah from the very beginning. Because Allah said in Surah 23, verse 53, one of the signs of the last days, every man will be happy with his dodgy Aqidah. كُلُّ حِزْبٍ مَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Surah 23, verse 53. One of the signs of the last days is that every man will be happy with his dodgy Aqidah. كُلُّ حِزْبٍ مَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Do you know why they are happy with their Aqidah? Their pride won't allow them to relinquish their dodgy Aqidah. The Qadiani who said there is a prophet after Muhammad, their pride caused them to hang on to their kufr. The Shiites who said the Sahabas are kuffar and the Quran is corrupted, their pride won't allow them to give up their kufr. The Madkhalis, the Salafis who believe you can snitch on Muslims, the Mujahideen are Khawarij and terrorists. To dismantle the Sharia is a minor kufr, a minor thing. To wear your trousers below the ankle is a major issue. You'll go to the hellfire. But to dismantle the Sharia, oh, that is minor. Forget about the Sharia, think about yourself. Their pride won't allow them to abandon their kufr. And because of that, Allah said in Surah 23, verse 53, كُلُّ حِزْبٍ مَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. In the last days, every man will be happy with his dodgy Aqidah. his erroneous aqidah. Therefore, it's important you teach the people the truth from the offset, from the beginning. Because when a man cannot think for himself and you give him something to hold on to, he holds on to it fanatically. I put it to you, when a man is brain dead, his aql is on the same level of a mosquito. He's brain dead, he can't think for himself. When you give him something to hold on to, he holds on to it fanatically. And because of that, Allah told you in Surah 23 verse 53, one of the signs of the last days, كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Every sect, every group, every firqa will be happy with their dodgy aqidah. Even the Qadianis. Their false prophet died in the toilet with feces coming from his mouth and his nose and his ears. A false prophet died in the toilet. Yet his followers hung on to this lie that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was a prophet after Muhammad. His followers hung on to this lie fanatically. Because Allah warned you in the Quran, every group will be happy with their dodgy aqidah. This is one of the signs of the last days. كُلُّ حِزْبٍ مَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرْحٌ. Therefore, to be sincere to Allah, you need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only lawgiver. Now, don't tell me Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah. I don't want to hear that crap. Don't talk to me like a madkhali. Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah. Okay, I'm going to checkmate you. A thing becomes a bid'ah when it cannot be found in the text, neither in Quran nor Hadith. When Umar went to the masjid and he heard two people arguing about Salat al-Tarawih, one of the men said, we are supposed to do 8 rak'ah. The other man said, we are supposed to do 12 rak'ah. Umar said, okay, we are going to add both. 12 and 8 is 20. We are going to do 20 rak'ah. A man shouted out in the masjid, bid'ah, bid'ah. Umar said, ni'mat hadhihi al-bid'ah. This bid'ah is a ni'mah, a barakah, a blessing for the ummah. Do you know why Umar said that to the man? Umar was making a mockery of the man. Umar was taking the mickey on the man. How can Tarawih being 20 be bid'ah? A thing is a bid'ah when it can be found in the original text. So how can you say Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah when Allah said in Surah Tin, Alaysa Allahu bi ahkam al-hakimin, Surah 95 verse 8, isn't Allah the best of judges? The concept can be found in the text. So how is it bid'ah? And how can Tawheed Hakimiyya be a bid'ah when Allah said in Surah 18 verse 26, وَلَا يُشْرِكْ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. Surah 18 verse 26. How is it a bid'ah? And how Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah when Allah Ta'ala told you in Surah 42 verse 21, أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءَ شَرَعُوا لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ. Do they have partners, shuraka, beside Allah who have legislated for them a deen, a religion that Allah did not allow them to legislate? Surah 42 verse 21. أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءَ شَرَعُوا لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ. My question to you, the Madkhali, the Salafi, before Ibn Taymiyyah was born, there was no Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. That Tawheed didn't exist as a category. All we knew about was Tawheed al-Rububiyyah and Tawheed Ibadah. So who introduced the category called Tawheed Asma wa Sifat? Ibn Taymiyyah. So when Ibn Taymiyyah introduced Tawheed Asma wa Sifat, why didn't you scream and shout, bid'ah, bid'ah? Why did you accept it? Why you have a problem with Tawheed Hakimiyya? I know why. And the 60 people in this room, they know why. But I'm going to tell you why anyway. They scream and shout bid'ah in regards to Tawheed Hakimiyya because it goes against their financial interest. They get a salary from the apostate regimes. This branch of Tawheed, it goes against their financial interest. This is why they scream and shout bid'ah, bid'ah. Because for you to believe that Allah is the Hakim, Allah is the only legislator, and to believe that when you dismantle the Sharia, it makes you become a kafir, then you're going to have to topple the apostate leaders. I'm sorry, you're going to topple my paymaster. Why do you want to topple my paymaster? Tawhid Hakimiyya is a bid'ah. You're a Khawarij. You're a terrorist. You're the dog of Jahannam. I'm going to help the Crusaders to catch you. I'm going to spy on you. I'm going to fill Belmarsh with you and Guantanamo Bay. You want to topple my paymaster. I want my paycheck once a month, every month. Tawhid Hakimiyya is a bid'ah. To dismantle the Sharia is a minor kufr. The Mujahideen are Khawarij. The greatest jihad is to kill the Mujahideen. That is the Aqidah of Asad Salafi. To snitch on the Mujahideen is the greatest jihad. That is the Aqidah. A person is not prepared to believe in an aspect of Islam if it goes against his financial interest. And this is hypocrisy of the highest order. The reason why Ibn Taymiyyah introduced Tawheed Asma wa Sifat is because he lived at a time when the Mu'tazilites were rife, and the Asha'ira and the Jahmiyyah, who denied Allah's 99 names and attributes. So Ibn Taymiyyah introduced the classification Tawheed Asma wa Sifat in order to fight the cancer that was existing in his time, because every era has its cancer. The cancer in the time of Muhammad was Lat, Uzza, Hubal, Manat. And he conquered Mecca and broke the idols with his own holy hands and recited the ayah, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقْ وَزَحَقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Surah 17 verse 81. وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقْ وَزَحَقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Surah 17 81. This ayah was recited by the Prophet when he broke the idols. That was his cancer. Lat, Uzza, Hubal, Manat, in his era. And he got rid of his cancer, the Prophet. Uprooted it from the society. In the time of Abu Bakr Siddiq, he had a cancer to deal with. The cancer of people not paying the zakah. And the cancer of Musaylimah al-Kadhdhab, the false prophet. He uprooted his cancer. He killed those who didn't pay zakah and took their women folks as concubines and buried them in the graveyard of the kuffar. Every era has its fitna, its cancer. In the time of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the cancer was the Quran was created. Ahmad ibn Hanbal fought those who claimed the Quran was created single-handedly, and because of his stance against the Mu'tazilites, he was given the title the Imam of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahmad ibn Hanbal was given the title. I hardly think anybody believes that anymore. In the time of Ibn Taymiyyah, he had the fitna of the Mu'attila, those who reject Allah's 99 names and attributes. The Jahmiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah had to deal with the Jahmiyyah, those who reject Allah's 99 names and attributes. So Ibn Taymiyyah introduced the categorization called Tawheed Asma wa Sifat, a third Tawheed, to fight the Jahmiyyah, those who reject attributes. Introduced the category Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. Why nobody scream and shout bid'ah, bid'ah? You accepted his categorization. In our time, the fitna is that the Sharia is not being implemented. That's our fitna. And because of that, Muhammad Ibrahim came up with the category. He said Tawheed Hakimiyya is the shaqiq, the twin half of Tawheed Ibadah. Therefore, don't make a mockery of yourself and say Shaikh Faisal Tawheed. I was born in the 1960s. Muhammad Ibrahim passed the fatwa in the 1950s. It's not my Tawheed. Muhammad law alone, ruling by Allah's law alone, is the twin half of worshipping Allah alone, tahkim qawaneen. The only reason, Mike can hear me? Okay, shukran. Listen to Muhammad Ibrahim, the Shaykh of the, listen to what he said, is the twin half of ibadah. Okay, we are not finished refuting the hypocrites who have a problem with Tawheed Hakimiyya. We are not finished refuting the hypocrites who have issues with Tawheed Hakimiyya. Can you hear me? Don't slide Hakimiyya on ibadah. You are not allowed to practice sliding and hiding. Somebody gave me a two underneath Tawheed Ibadah. You know why? Because Muhammad, if there are two brothers, one is called Muhammad and the other one is called Mikael. If Mikael should steal, you can't cut the hand of Muhammad. Because they are two separate individuals, two separate brothers. So when Tawheed Hakimiyya is a twin brother of Tawheed Ibadah, what he meant is that there are two separate Tawheeds. Therefore, you have to slide one Tawheed on the other. The worst deceiver is the one who deceives you in regards to your deen, in regards to your Tawheed. Also, don't slide Tawheed Hakimiyya underneath Tawheed Rububiyyah. Because if you slide Tawheed Hakimiyya underneath Tawheed Rububiyyah, making the shaitan a Muslim, because it will be raised from the dead. Is anybody taking notes? Can somebody just take notes? Authentic Tawheed 7. Don't slide Tawheed Hakimiyya underneath Tawheed Rububiyyah. You are making the shaitan a Muslim. Don't slide. Muhammad Ibrahim said Tawheed Hakimiyya is the twin brother of Ibadah. This means there are two of the other. That is oppression. And how can you tell me Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah when Prophet Yusuf taught the 4 Tawheeds to the inmates when he was in prison? How dare you tell me Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah? When Prophet Yusuf was in prison, he taught the 4 Tawheeds to the inmates in prison. So how on earth can you say it's a bid'ah? Ya sahibi as-sijn, a'arbab mutafarriqun khair am Allah al-wahid al-qahhar. O you two prisoners, my companions of the prison, what's better, for you to have one Lord who is Allah, the dominant, the irresistible, or for you to have many different Lords? What's better? That is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Surah 12 verse 39. Then he said, these names and attributes you are using to describe Allah, Allah did not reveal them. You fabricated these names and attributes. That is Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. Because he was rebuking them about describing Allah with names and attributes that Allah did not use to describe himself. Then he said, in al-hukmu illa lillah, there is no lawgiver except Allah. That's Tawheed Hakimiyya. Then he said, amra an la ta'budu illa iyyah. He has commanded that you worship none except him, Allah. That is Tawheed Ibadah. Tawheed Hakimiyya is a bid'ah. Allah alone deserves to be worshipped. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll stop here and take 5 questions. I'll continue the dars tomorrow, the same topic. How to be sincere to Allah. I'll take 5 questions in regards to what you have heard, and we'll continue the topic tomorrow. I didn't realize my notes were so many. I will take 5 questions in regards to what you have just heard. Bismillah, Shaykh, I follow Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah. There's a sort of Salafi. I see him because we not living under Sharia, and said my Aqidah harms the Muslims who live in the West. Can you explain this Aqidah of the Madkhali, the sort of Salafi, makes him become a kafir for claiming you can report Allah to the kuffar, you become a kafir yourself, is Ma'idah 51. Ma'idah 51. يا الذين آمنوا لا تتخذ اليهود والنصارى أولياء بعد ومن يتولهم منكم فإنه منهم إن الله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. Or you believe, don't take the Jews and Christians for friends. Yeah, your helpers and practices and allies. Then he becomes. So this Madkhali who believes, he has become a kafir. We have debated the Madkhalis in the sea room. Cancers evil a Madkhali is. They are prepared to lie on the Prophet. Yeah, the Madkhali, their Aqidah is messed up. Can you hear me? Their Aqidah is weird, it's messed up. We debated them, we told them it's haram to join the UN, it's an act of kufr because you have to obey their resolution. They told me the Prophet Muhammad did the same thing, because when the Prophet signed the UN, the Prophet did the same thing. They were to slander the Prophet Muhammad, assault the Salaf Muhammad, to justify their kufr, their shirk and their zandaqah, the ultimate body to legislate for mankind. When did Quraysh himself as the body, the legation, the body, the organization that has the ultimate power on earth, and they legislate for mankind. That's how the UN sees itself. So why did you tell me in the debate the Prophet Muhammad did the same thing when he signed the treaty of Hudaybiyah? Why are you, the Madkhali, so desperate? You want to slander Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Your state is pitiful, appalling, and pathetic. Anybody who believes you can spy for the police and the MI5 is a kafir outside the fold of Islam. What's the evidence? Ma'idah 51. If you give your wallah to Christians and help them against the Muslims, you will become one of them. Next question, please. Desperate measures. A desperate man resort to desperate measures. That's why they are so desperate. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. We know that after Tawbah has been done with ikhlas, Allah will wipe out our sins as if we have never committed them. But there is a hadith that says Allah will remind the believers on Judgment Day about they committed in our sins, and yet He will still remind us of them on the day of judgment, even if we made sincere repentance and met the conditions of Tawbah. Surah 100 فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ Bismillah, am I on mic? Therefore, even though you will see your haram, it doesn't mean Allah will hold you accountable. Allah forgives. Even though you will see your haram, it doesn't mean Allah will show it to the rest of the people. Because the Prophet said, Man satara muslima, satara Allah fi dunya wal akhirah. If you hide the secret sins of a believer, Allah will hide your secret sins in this life and the next life. So not because you will see your sins, it doesn't mean Allah will show them to others. Not because you will see your sins, it doesn't mean Allah will hold you. Because Allah forgives, and Allah said, I read the news today that Saudi King Abdullah has sacked his advisor, Rabbi Abdul Mohsen Al-Ubaykan, who criticized of trying to westernize by that time. What was the response from the Saudi Salafi? What is your take on this? Obviously there will be a mute from the Saudi Salafi. The king is allowing elections. Is allowing some democracy in the kingdom. I don't believe in democracy. Therefore, I have to take side with the sheikh who was sacked by the king, not the king. I have no choice but to take sides with the sheikh who got the sack, who was fired by the king. Because I don't believe in democracy, and I do not believe in westernization. And Western education is haram as well. Western education is haram as well. To study dentistry is not Western education. To study medicine is not Western education. This is called international education. To study chemical engineer, petroleum engineer, mechanical engineer, electronic, not Western education. That is international. Western education is to say Jesus is God. To be gay, it's in your genes. That is Western education, and that is haram. Therefore, Western education is haram. And I've given you examples of what Western education is. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. I learned that a Siddiq is a higher status with Allah than a Shaheed. Is it possible to die as a Siddiq, or was this only Bakr? Abu Bakr Siddiq was called a Siddiq when the kuffar went to him at the gates of Mecca and said, Muhammad said he went to Jerusalem last night and now he's back. Do you believe? He said, did Muhammad say that? They said, yes. Did Muhammad say that? He said, yes. He said, okay, if Muhammad said that, I believe him. If he said that, I believe him. The kuffar were trying to practice divide and rule. They wanted to say, look, even his best friend Abu Bakr doesn't believe. But Abu Bakr didn't swallow the bait. It was a bait. No one can be higher than a shaheed, because his soul is kept in the bodies of green birds flying around in paradise. That was exclusive for Abu Bakr and nobody else. And no one can be higher than a shaheed, because his soul is kept in the bodies of green birds flying around in paradise. These green birds have their nest on chandeliers, and these chandeliers from the throne of Allah. I'm taking one last question before we go. There is a hadith that says the ink of a scholar is holier than the blood of a martyr. You are not allowed to quote this hadith, it's fabricated. The ink of a scholar is holier than the martyr. They made a film called The Ink of a Scholar is Holier than the Blood of a Martyr. They claim that scholars check the film to see if it is authentic. How can Islamic scholars check the film, yet it has a fabricated hadith in it? What kind of scholars are those? That hadith is fabricated. The ink of a scholar is holier than the blood of a martyr. To make Allah happy in details. Can you give just on doing deeds? Acts on doing deeds to make, I don't understand the question. Just on doing deeds to make Allah happy in details. I don't understand the question. What is just? Can you give just on good and doing deeds? I don't understand the question. I'm afraid, rephrase the question tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Lashadu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. I'd like to thank Authentic 35 for recording the dars, and I'd like to thank Authentic 37 for the notes. Can you give address on doing deeds to make happy in detail? And by doing what is fard, and by abstaining that which is haram. Ibn Taymiyyah, when you clean yourself and the wrath of Allah, a barrier by doing what is fard and by abstaining from that which is haram. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalam ala Imam al-Anbiya wal Mursalin Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi وصحبه وأنصاره وأزواجه وذرته أجمعين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this another of our sittings. The importance of this topic cannot be overemphasized, because this topic is how to be sincere to Allah. It was requested of me by one of the admins to go back through and review the sincerity series. So this topic is a series: how to be sincere to Allah, how to be sincere to the Holy Quran, how to be sincere to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how to be sincere to your Muslim brothers and sisters. It's a series. And the reason why the admin requested that I go through it is because they said they see new faces in the room every single day. So because we have new faces arriving every day, we have to review this topic, which was covered some 7 months ago. Yesterday, just to recap, we said in order to be sincere to Allah Ta'ala, certain conditions have to be found. And the opposite of sincerity is hypocrisy. There is a surah in the Quran called the Surah of Sincerity, Surah Ikhlas. This surah is equivalent to a third of the Holy Quran. One day the Rasul sent a battalion out, and the Amir of the battalion used to recite Surah Ikhlas in every salah. His companions said, "Why do you keep reciting this surah? Why can't you recite something else?" Anyway, when they came back to the Prophet, they told the Prophet, "The Amir you chose to lead us on our journey, he used to recite Surah Ikhlas in every salah." And the Prophet asked him why he did it. He said, "Because I was in Jahiliyyah, I was a mushrik, and this surah tells me who Allah is. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allah is one, Allah is eternal. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. There is nothing in the heavens above nor the earth below that resembles Allah. He has no kids, neither does he have an appearance. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He has no kids, neither does he have an appearance. Wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And there is nothing in the heavens above nor the earth below that resembles Allah. That is comparable to Allah. So this surah tells me who Allah is. So I love this surah. The Prophet said, the angel Gabriel came to me and told me that because he loves the surah, Allah forgave him of all his sins and Allah gave him the paradise. What did he do to earn the paradise? All he did to earn the paradise was to love Surah Ikhlas. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. This surah is equal to a third of the Holy Quran. So those who say the Quran is equal, all the surahs of the Quran are equal. And they are jahil in regards to Tawheed. And this is the Aqidah of the Mu'tazilites. All of the Quran is equal. Where did they get that from? The hadith I quoted to you that Surah Ikhlas is equal to a third of the Quran, I'm sure it's found in Bukhari. If it's not in Bukhari, it's in Muslim. I'm sure the hadith I've quoted to you that Surah Ikhlas is equal to a third of the Quran, it's in Bukhari. And it should be in Muslim as well. It's in the books of hadith, the strong books of hadith. So for you to say all of the Quran is equal, that means you are jahil about Tawheed. And this hadith is so famous. How comes you don't know that Surah Ikhlas is equal to 1/3 of the Holy Quran? How comes you are so jahil, the Mu'tazila? You don't know that Surah Ikhlas is equal to a third of the Quran. And the greatest ayah is Ayatul Kursi, Baqarah 255. And the greatest surah is Surah Fatiha. And Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun is equal to a quarter of the Quran. But where did you get your Aqidah from that all of the Quran is equal? Are you telling me that Surah Tabbat Yada Abi Lahabin wa Tab is the same as Surah Fatiha? A'udhu Billah. What kind of Aqidah is that? The problem with the Mu'tazilites, you prefer the Aql over the Naql. You give preference to the Aql over the Naql. You give preference to the brain over the Burhan. You give preference to reason over revelation. You give preference to the intellect over the text. The intellect is the Aql. The text is the Naql. You give preference to the brain over the Burhan. Ali ibn Abi Talib said, Laysa deen bi ra'i. This religion is not based upon opinion. This religion is not based upon opinion. If that were the case, when we do mass over the socks, we would wipe onto the bottom of our socks. But I saw the Prophet wiping on top of his socks. Why? Because our deen is not based upon opinion. A very famous hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Laysa deen bi ra'i. This deen is not based upon logic. If that were the case, we would wipe onto the bottom of the socks when we make mass. But I saw the Prophet wiping on top of his socks. To be sincere to Allah, you have to believe that Allah exists without having doubts about His existence. If you doubt that Allah exists, you're a kafir and a munafiq, because you have allowed your iman to become contaminated with shak, with doubts. The way you contaminate Zamzam water with urine, no one will drink that water. When you doubt the existence of Allah, your iman is contaminated with doubts. You need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the creator, the one and only creator, and this concept is called Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. You need to believe in Allah Ta'ala's 99 names and attributes without tashbih, making Allah similar to His creation, without ta'til, without rejecting any of His 99 names and attributes, without takyif, without specificity, without saying how. So when you read the Quran and you read Allah's names and attributes, don't ask the question, how does Allah descend? How is Allah over the arsh? The answer to the question, He descends in a way that befits His dignity and majesty. Kama yaliq bi jalalihi wa azamatihi. That is the answer. Without tajseem, you are not allowed to be a mujassima. Those who believe Allah has a body that resembles our body, that is called the mujassima. Without tajseem, without tafweed. The mufawwida is the person who is an agnostic Muslim. That is the mufawwida, an agnostic Muslim. So he says Allahu alam for everything. Yes, we believe in Allah's 99 names and attributes without ta'til, without tajseem, without tafweed, without takyif. Takyif is howness, specificity. Therefore, it is incumbent on you to believe in Allah's names and attributes without kayfiyah. Kayfiyah, specificity, without howness. And without tafweed, without tajseem, without tashbih. And I hope none of you in the room have a problem to accept that Allah is over the arsh. Because now and again, different people from different persuasions enter this room. You know why you are not allowed to have a doubt that Allah is over the arsh? Because when the Prophet said to the slave girl, "Who am I?" she said, "You are Muhammad, the messenger of Allah." And the Prophet said, "Where is Allah?" She pointed with her fingers to the sky and said, "Fis sama," above the heavens. The Prophet accepted her answer and said, "Set her free because she's a believer." Set this girl free because she's a believer. Now, a Deobandi would have said, "Keep her in captivity because Allah is not over the arsh." A Shiite, a shady Shiite, a goofy Sufi would have said, "Keep her in captivity because Allah is not over the arsh." Trying to say the Prophet was wrong to set her free because Allah is not over the arsh. Because of this hadith found in Muslim, to believe that Allah is over the arsh, it is called ma'loom min ad-din bid-darura, that which is known of Islam by necessity. So I hope none of you in this room falls into the category of the goofy Sufi or the shady Shia with their dodgy aqidah, claiming that Allah is everywhere. And you, the people who call yourself Hanafis, you should be ashamed of yourself. You believe Allah is everywhere. 99% of Hanafis I met, they say Allah is everywhere. Abu Hanifa used to make takfir on people like you. When Abu Hanifa meet people who didn't believe Allah was over the arsh, he used to make takfir on you. And if you believe Allah is over the arsh, but you don't know if the arsh is on earth or the arsh is above the heavens, still he made takfir on you. I hope that is clear. If you believe Allah is over the arsh, but you don't know if the arsh is in the dunya or above the heavens, still Abu Hanifa used to make takfir on you. Because it's compulsory on you to believe that the arsh is above the heavens. The fourth condition to be sincere to Allah Ta'ala. You need to believe that Allah Ta'ala is the only lawgiver. And this concept is called Tawheed Hakimiyya. The concept that Allah is the only creator is called Tawheed Ar-Rububiyyah. The concept that Allah has 99 names and attributes is called Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. The concept that Allah is the only lawgiver is called Tawheed Hakimiyya. The concept that Allah alone deserves to be worshipped is called Tawheed Ibadah. And there are 4 Tawheeds. Prophet Yusuf taught these 4 Tawheeds in prison. These 4 Tawheeds are inside of Surah Fatiha. So those who would like to deny one of these Tawheeds, your mission is impossible. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, that is Tawheed Ar-Rububiyyah. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, that is Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. Maliki Yawmiddin, that is Tawheed Hakimiyya. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, that is Tawheed Ibadah. The 4 Tawheeds are inside of Surah Fatiha. So those of you who would like to deny one of these Tawheeds, or 2 of them, your mission is impossible. And those of you who would like to scream Bid'ah, Tawheed Hakimiyya is a Bid'ah. My question to you is, why is it that when Ibn Taymiyyah introduced Tawheed Asma wa Sifat to the Ummah as a separate category, nobody scream and shout Bid'ah? And he introduced that branch of Tawheed because he had to fight the Jahmiyyah. In his time, the fitna was the Jahmiyyah who denied Allah's names and attributes, as well as the Mu'tazila. The reason why Muhammad Ibrahim introduced Tawheed Hakimiyya in his book Tahkim Qawaneen is because the Sharia is the fitna for today. The Muslims are so jahil, they believe in democracy, the religion of the Satan. The Muslims of today are so jahil about their deen, they believe in democracy. Democracy means the religion of Satan. So for you to believe in democracy, which is the religion of the Satan, that means you don't know anything about Tawheed. You're worse than the Jehovah's Witness, because the Jehovah's Witness in Jamaica, they don't vote. They reject democracy. So you, the Muslim who believe in democracy, you're worse than the Jehovah's Witness. The Jehovah's Witness in Jamaica, they turn their back on democracy. And you rush to pick it up. And don't tell me Tawhid Hakimiyya is a bid'ah, because Prophet Yusuf taught the 4 Tawheeds in prison. And don't practice the Aqidah of sliding and hiding. Don't slide one Tawheed under the other out of desperation to hide it from the Ummah. Because Muhammad Ibrahim said Tawheed Hakimiyya is the twin brother of Tawheed Ibadah. What he meant is they are 2 separate Tawheeds. Likewise, Iblis said, Rabbi fa'anzirni ila yawm yub'athun. My Lord, grant me respite until the day of resurrection, when man will be raised from the dead. So Iblis acknowledged that Allah is his Rabb, his Lord. And Iblis acknowledged that there is life after death. Iblis acknowledged that there is a day called Yawm al-Qiyamah. Iblis acknowledged that man will be raised from the dead. So Iblis acknowledged that Allah is his Rabb. So when you slide Hakimiyya under Rububiyyah, you, the Madkhali, you have made the Shaitan a Muslim. That's what you have done. You have made the Shaitan a Muslim. So why is it that some people have a problem with Tawhid Hakimiyya? That is because it wasn't taught to them. At no time was it taught to them. How many people knew that there's a scholar called Muhammad Ibrahim, the teacher of Bin Baz? How many people knew that he wrote a book called Tahkim Qawanin, ruling by the law? How many people knew that in his book he said Tawhid Hakimiyya is the twin half of Tawhid Ibadah? Very few people. So because it wasn't taught to them, when they hear it for the first time, they reject it. And the truth, we covered the reality of the truth. The truth divides the community. Because when the truth arrives in a community, some people will accept it and some people will reject it. It's important to teach the people the truth from the beginning. Now, when I was in South Africa, the women decided that they want a day with Shaikh Faisal. Okay, shukran. We continue the dars, how to be sincere to Allah. We were just recapping. Now, some of you have a problem with Tawhid Hakimiyya. You said it's a bid'ah, and you preach to dismantle the Sharia is a minor kufr, and the Mujahideen are Khawarij and terrorists. And the greatest jihad is to help the Crusaders to catch the Mujahideen, to turn them in, to be in Belmarsh and Guantanamo Bay. That's the greatest jihad. To help the Crusaders to catch the Mujahideen. Now, you worship 3 people, Bin Baz, Uthaymeen, and Albani. Now, Authentic Tawhid 5 could bring me the fatwa of Bin Baz in regards to dismantling the Sharia. Bin Baz, Sheikh Bin Baz of Saudi Arabia, he said when you replace the Sharia, you're a kafir. And even if you believe in your heart that the Sharia is more just than man-made law, still you're a kafir. So since you, the Madkhali, worship Bin Baz, let me checkmate you with Bin Baz. Okay, you worship Bin Baz, let me give you Bin Baz. Authentic 5 going to bring me the Hujjah. And when he passed the fatwa, Bin Baz, he didn't mention istihlal. You have to make it halal to dismantle the Sharia to become a kafir. Okay, listen to what Shaykh Bin Baz said. Since you worship Bin Baz, we're going to give you Bin Baz. And you came to debate with us, and you run away in the middle of the debate, you have to finish the debate. Those days when you could come to Paul Talk. Okay, shukran. Whenever you debate with the Christians, you have to use the Bible to checkmate them. Whenever you debate with the Christians, you have to use the Bible to checkmate them. The Bible say one thing and you say something else. When you debate with the Madkhalis, you have to use Bin Baz, Uthaymeen, and Albani to checkmate them. Now listen to Bin Baz. Sheikh Abdulaziz Bin Baz said, there is no Iman for the one who believes the laws of the people and their opinions are superior to the hukum of Allah and His messenger, or that they are equal to it, or that they resemble it, or who leaves it or replaces it with fabricated laws and institutions invented by people, even if he believes that the laws of Allah are more encompassing and more just. So when you do istibdal, which is to replace the Sharia with man-made fabricated laws, Bin Baz said, even if you believe the Sharia is better, more encompassing, more just, still you're a kafir. So Bin Baz doesn't care what is in your heart. That's not his business. What he's saying with this fatwa is, I don't give a damn what's in your heart. That's not my business. So you might dismantle the Sharia, you replace the Sharia, and you believe Sharia is better than man-made laws. What Bin Baz is saying, even if you believe that the Sharia is better than man-made laws, still you're a kafir. In other words, I don't give a damn what you think, what you believe in your heart. So since you worship Bin Baz, we use Bin Baz against you. Okay, Authentic 35, bring me the fatwa of Uthaymeen. We are going through the scholars Uthaymeen. Give me Uthaymeen's fatwa. Bin Baz doesn't care what's in your heart. In this fatwa, he's saying, even if you believe that the Sharia is better, Uthaymeen has a similar fatwa. Then man-made laws, he doesn't give a damn what you believe. As long as you dismantle the Sharia, you're a kafir. Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen said, the first type of taghut, that is when the hukum of Allah is removed and replaced with another taghuti hukum, so that the hukum of the Sharia is eliminated between the people, and he puts in its place another hukum from the fabrication of the humans, and they remove the laws of the Sharia concerning mu'amala. Mu'amala is how you deal with people in your daily transactions, the general actions between the people, and they put in its place fabricated laws, and this without doubt is istibdal. Istibdal means to exchange the Sharia for man-made law. So you should get acquainted with this word, istibdal, because as talib al-ilm you need to know these expressions. Istibdal, it means to exchange the Sharia for man-made laws, replacement of the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with other than it. And this is kufr, which removes one from the millah. Millah means the deen. Millah is another name for the deen. And there's a book called Millat Ibrahim, written by Abu Muhammad al-Maqdisi, which you should read if it's in English. Uthaymeen said, when you do istibdal, to exchange the Sharia, it removes you, it ejects you from outside the fold of Islam, the millah. Because this person puts himself at the level of the creator, because he legislated. Shara, he legislated. Now, the fatwa of Uthaymeen said, if you do istibdal, you're a kafir. You remove yourself from the millah, from the deen of Allah. Uthaymeen did not say you have to do istibdal plus istihlal. Istihlal means to make it halal to dislodge the Sharia. When you put the condition of istihlal, you are putting words in the mouth of Uthaymeen. And this is deception. You are not allowed to embellish the fatwa. To embellish a fatwa means you add or subtract from the fatwa. Where did Bin Baz mention istihlal? I don't see that in his fatwa. Where did Uthaymeen mention istihlal? Uthaymeen didn't mention that in his fatwa. Istihlal means to make haram halal. They said the moment you dislodge the Sharia, you are outside the fold of Islam. The moment you dislodge, you are outside the fold of Islam. And they did not mention istihlal, which is to make halal what is haram. From the word istihlal, from the word halal, which is to make what is haram halal. None of these scholars mention istihlal. You are the one who is putting words in their mouth. Anyway, we continue with our dars, how to be sincere to Allah. The fifth condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to believe that Allah Ta'ala alone deserves to be worshipped. Therefore, the worst crime under the heavens is shirk, like Allah told you in Surah Nisa verse 48, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرْ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرْ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Verily Allah doesn't forgive the crime of shirk, but He will forgive anything else to whom He please. Surah Nisa verse 48. Then Allah Ta'ala told you in regards to shirk, Surah 39 verse 65. Surah 39 verse 65. This was a warning to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَّذِي مِنْ قَبْلِكَ لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ وَلَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Verily we have revealed unto you, O Muhammad, the way we revealed it to all the prophets and messengers before you, that if you, Muhammad, should commit shirk, all your deeds are nullified. If he was Muhammad, the most righteous person to walk earth, yet he was warned about shirk. And Allah told him, if you should dabble in shirk, if you, Muhammad, should dabble in shirk, all your deeds are nullified. What about you and I? We should take this warning more serious. Because he, Muhammad, was the most righteous person to walk earth, yet Allah warned him about shirk in Surah Zumar verse 65. If you, Muhammad, should do shirk, all your deeds are nullified. Now some of you are mesmerized by Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, the Catholic woman who fed millions of poor people in her lifetime. On Judgment Day, people like Mother Teresa will come expecting to find reward. But Allah told us about people like Mother Teresa in Surah 39, Surah Nur verse 39. Surah Nur is Surah 24 verse 39. Allah said people like Mother Teresa will come expecting to find rewards piled up for them. But Allah said their similitude is like a man in the desert who is about to die from thirst. When he looked in front of him, he saw water. He will rush to quench his thirst. When he got there, it wasn't water, it was only a mirage. So a person like Mother Teresa will come expecting to find reward on Judgment Day. But she will have no reward to get, because in her lifetime she did shirk. Her Aqidah was Holy Mary, Mother of God, that God came from the belly of a woman. Holy Mary, Mother of God. I was in the Philippines, and when I turn on the TV or the radio, that's all I hear. In the Philippines, I've never seen so many Catholics in my life. Holy Mary, Mother of God. And it used to be a Muslim country. And the Spanish went there and forced them to become Christians or die. Holy Mary, Mother of God. How can Mother Teresa go to paradise with that Aqidah? Holy Mary, Mother of God. Impossible. So Surah Nur verse 39 tells you that such people, they have no reward to get in the hereafter. Then Allah Ta'ala told you in Surah Tawbah 113 that if you have a mother, father, brother, sister who die in a state of shirk, you are not allowed to seek forgiveness for that person. Surah 9 113. ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين. It is not right for the Prophet and those who believe to seek forgiveness for the mushrikeen. ولو كانوا أولي القربى, even though they might be your near relatives. After it became clear to you that they die in a state of shirk and their destiny shall be in the hellfire to abide forever. Then there are some people in our midst who are called the Shiites and the Goofy Sufis and the Brahmins. They worship the graves beside Allah. Allah dismissed them, the Shiites, the Sufis, the Brahmins, as liars and kafirs. Surah 39 verse 3. Why did Allah call them liars and kafirs? The Shiites who pray to the graves, the Brahmins and the Sufis who pray to the graves. Why did Allah dismiss them as liars and kafirs in Surah 39 verse 3? Because when they were praying, they recited Surah Fatiha and they said, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. That's what you claim. But then you left the masjid, you went to the graves and you prayed to the inhabitants of the graves and you begged them for things. There is no hadith where the Sahabas pray to the graves. And even if the hadith exists, it's a fabricated hadith. Because when Omar suffered a drought, he didn't go to the grave of the Prophet and pray to the grave of the Prophet. We were commanded by Allah, Allah's Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي وَسُنَّةُ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ الْمَهْدِيِّينَ. Follow my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided caliphs. Umar was the second of the rightly guided caliphs. When Umar suffered severe drought, he didn't pray to the grave of the Prophet. He went to Abbas and begged Abbas to pray for rain. He said to Abbas, when the Prophet was alive and we suffered a drought, we would ask the Prophet to pray for the rain and Allah would send the rain. Now that the Prophet is dead, we will ask the uncle of the Prophet to pray for the rain. And Abbas prayed and the rain came. This is the evidence that the Sahabas didn't pray to the graves of the dead people and beg the dead for things. Those who pray to the graves and beg the dead for things, they are kuffar. And you are not allowed to pray behind them. Because they are pagans who worship the graves, not Allah. And many of you, you have these people in your families, Shiites and Bareilwis and Sufis. They pray to the graves and beg the dead for things. No Sahaba did this, and this is shirk. The shirk that takes you outside the fold of Islam. This practice is rife in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Praying to graves instead of Allah. Very rife in these countries. These people are coming from a Hindu background, so for them to worship Allah, they find it impossible to worship Allah. That's why they worship the graves. Because of their Hindu background, they can't worship Allah. They have to worship the graves. No Sahaba prayed to the inhabitants of the graves and begged them for things. Where is that hadith? You claim, you the brothers, you claim you have a hadith to prove it. We keep asking you, where is it? You said it is, the hadith is somewhere. We have the hadith somewhere. If praying to graves was halal, Omar would have prayed to the grave of the Prophet when he suffered 3 years of severe drought. But he went to the uncle of the Prophet and said, you pray for us. Now that the Prophet is dead, we want you to pray for us. He called upon a man who was alive to pray for the rain. He didn't come and pray for us. That would have been shirk. And Omar was learned in regards to the various types of shirk. And you cannot give the excuse of ignorance to those who pray to graves or those who pray to Jesus or Muhammad. Because Allah said, I took you from the loins of Adam and I made you testify against yourself. Surah Araf, Surah 7, 172. Alastu bi Rabbikum, am I not your one and only Lord? You said, Bala, yes. Allah said, I did this so that on Judgment Day you can't use the excuse of ignorance. These are the ayahs you need to memorize. Some of you want to debate with hypocrites. How can you debate if you don't know these ayahs? In the middle of the debate, you lost for words. That's disgusting. And if I speak to you in private PM and I said, where is the ayah to prove that the excuse of ignorance cannot be given to those who worship a false deity? Can you tell me which ayah? If I ask you which ayah in the Quran Allah calls the Shiites and the Bareilwis and the Sufis who pray to graves, Allah called them liars and kafirs. Do you know the ayah? Can you tell me the ayah? If I ask you which ayah in the Quran Allah said Muhammad is only a bashar, because some people say Muhammad is not bashar, he is nur. Can you tell me which ayah Allah refers to Muhammad as a bashar? These are the ayahs you need to memorize. The Shiites said our Imams know when they are going to die and they choose when to die. And they don't die unless they want to die. They die by their will. If I ask you which ayah Allah said no soul knows in what land it will die. Nobody knows when it's going to die. Do you know the ayah? For you to go to a debate and you don't know the ayahs that are relevant to the topic, you are like the soldier who went to the battlefield with no ammunition. How can you go to the battlefield with no ammunition? You have to know all these ayahs. And when you debate with hypocrites, it's better you stick to Quran as much as possible. Because you might quote a hadith and they say the hadith is fabricated. They can't say the Quran is fabricated. So it's always best you stick to Quran as much as possible. Because they cannot say Quran is fabricated. So those who say we give the excuse of ignorance to those who worship a false deity, always remember Always remember Surah Araf 172. And those who like to argue about Ali, who should have been the first caliph? Is it Ali? Is it Abu Bakr? Who should have been the first caliph? Will Allah ask you about the caliphate? Were you there when people gave their bay'ah to Abu Bakr? Were you there? Always remember Surah Baqarah 134. Tilka ummatun qad khalat. That ummah has passed away. Never forget the ayah. Baqarah 134. Because when the man came to Hassan al-Basri, the great scholar of Islam, to argue with him about Ali and Muawiyah, and to argue with him about the Sahabas, what did Hassan al-Basri say? He quoted the ayah, Baqarah 134. Tilka ummatun qad khalat. That ummah has passed away. Laha ma kasabat wa lakum ma kasabtum. They will reap what they sow, and you will also reap what you sow. وَلَا تُسْأَلُنَّ أَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. And you won't be held accountable. You won't be asked by Allah about the ummah that passed away before you. وَلَا تُسْأَلُنَّ أَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. These are key ayahs that you need in the middle of a debate. And the man who says, my Imam knows the ghaib, my Imam knows ilmul ghaib, my Imam is so intelligent, he has knowledge of the ghaib. Always remember Surah 7, 188. Surah 7, 188. قل لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله ولو كنت عالم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء إن أنا إلا نذير وبشير لقوم يؤمنون. Don't forget this ayah. Say to the people, O Muhammad, I possess no power of benefit, nafa' or hurt, dar, to myself except as Allah will. If I had knowledge of the ghaib, the unseen, piled up goodness in abundance, I would have secured for myself goodness in abundance, and no harm would touch me. I am but a warner and a bringer of glad tidings for a people who believe. This is the ayah you use to checkmate the Shiites who said our Imams have knowledge of ilm al-ghaib. Allah said, tell the people, O Muhammad, not even you have knowledge of ilm al-ghaib. Not even you ilm al-ghaib. Because if you had knowledge of ilm al-ghaib, why did you set the man free at the battle of Badr? He promised he will never fight Islam again. You believe him, you set the man free, and the man came back the next year to kill Muslims at the battle of Uhud. Can you believe it? The man broke his wallahi. He told the Prophet, wallahi, I won't fight. He broke his wallahi. He came back 1 year later to kill Muslims at the battle of Uhud. If Muhammad had knowledge of ilm al-ghaib, why would he set the man free for the man to come back the next year to kill his Sahabas at the battle of Uhud? Surah 7, 188. Tell the people, O Muhammad, not even you have knowledge of ilm al-ghaib. Because if you had knowledge of ilm al-ghaib, no harm would touch you. No harm would touch you. You the Shiites, you said your Imams have knowledge of ilm al-ghaib. So why did Hassan eat poison? If Hassan is one of your 12 Imams and he had knowledge of the ghaib, the unseen, why did Hassan eat poison and die from poison? This means Hassan committed suicide. This is how you checkmate a retard called the Shiites. This is how you checkmate the Shiites. Never forget the story of Hassan who ate poison. Say to the retard, the Shia, if your Imams have knowledge of the ghaib, the unseen, why did Hassan eat poison? This means Hassan committed suicide. If you say that to a Shia, it is called the knockout punch. You gave him a knockout punch. The way Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in Africa. It's called rumble in the jungle. You give the Shiite a knockout punch the way Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in Africa. It's called the rumble in the jungle. He can't answer that question. Now, when you're a retard, you will always be checkmated. It's your fault you were checkmated. A retard will always be checkmated. To believe that Allah alone deserves to be worshipped is called Tawheed Ibadah. Tawheed Ibadah. The sixth condition to be sincere to Allah. The sixth condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to spend in the path of Allah. The problem in the Ummah today is that the Christians spend for their Christianity the more the Muslims spend for their Islam. And Allah Ta'ala said, you will never become pious until you spend from what you love best. Surah 3, verse 92. لَن تَنَالَ الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. Surah 3, 92. You will never become pious until you spend from what you love best. One of the signs of the last days is that sadaqah will be a burden on the Ummah. When you have wealth, if you want to enjoy the wealth, you have to share the wealth. Why Warren Buffett and Bill Gates give away millions of their money? These are white Americans. They give away billions between themselves. Because they realize we have over 50 billion in the bank and we can't eat it off. How much can we eat? It's impossible to eat it off. So their conscience doesn't set them free to go to bed knowing that people are dying of hunger and starvation. That's why they give away billions. White Americans who have billions of dollars in the bank. Didn't you know they take it to Africa and give it away? You go to bed and you see kids these kids are just skin and bones, starving to death with flies in their eyes. African kids. And you have billions and you go to bed and sleep. The Rasul said, you are not a believer who eats his fill while his neighbor goes without food. Now these are people who are not even Muslims. They are Christians. I don't know what Bill Gates is. But they are able to give away billions. Because when you have wealth, it's impossible to enjoy your wealth until you're Do you know how you will enjoy your wealth? When you use your wealth to put a smile on the face of a widow or an orphan. If you can use your wealth to put a smile on the face of an orphan who was going to die from hunger, then you will enjoy your wealth. And because of that, Allah Ta'ala said, فَلَقَتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةِ. You did not choose the steep road. There are two roads in life. One is steep, one. The flat road takes you straight to the hellfire like a lamb to the slaughter. The steep road takes you to the paradise. Where? To the paradise. But Allah Ta'ala said, فَلَقَتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةِ. You did not choose the steep road. Surah 90, verse 11. فَلَقَتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةِ. Surah 90, verse 11. مَا أَدْرَاكَ. What the steep road is. فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ. To free a slave. أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة. Or to give food to poor people on the day of famine. When people are starving. The day of famine. يَتِيمًا ذَا مَقْرَبَةٍ. Or to look after an orphan who is close to you. O miskinan dha matraba. Or to feed a poor man who is so poor he has to go and look for food from the trash can. He goes to KFC, he goes to McDonald's, he goes to Burger King and search the trash can for food. That's called the miskin. So the miskin is different from the faqir. To be sincere to Allah, you need to spend in the path of Allah. Allah said in Surah Muhammad verse 7, يَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِن تَنْصُرُوا اللَّهَ يَنْصُرُكُمْ وَيَثَّبِّتْ أَقْدَامَكُمْ. Or you believe Allah, Allah will help you and make your feet firm. You might say, how can somebody help Allah? I'm sure the translator of the Quran will put in brackets, you help the cause of Allah. That's how you help Allah, by helping the cause of Allah. To look after the widows and the orphans. Can you hear me? Allah said in Surah Muhammad verse 7, يَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِن تَنْصُرُوا اللَّهَ يَنْصُرُكُمْ وَيَثَّبِّتْ أَقْدَامَكُمْ. Or you believe, if you help Allah, Allah will also help you and make your feet firm. So how can you help Allah? You help Allah by helping the cause of Allah. So I'm sure the man who translated the Quran will put in brackets, in the cause of Allah. Why did he put in brackets, in the cause of Allah? Because the tafsir is when you help the cause of Allah. If you help the cause of Allah, then you help Allah. To feed the widows and the orphans. To use your money to build masajid. I was on tour of 12 African countries. When I was in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, sometimes people pray on the streets because the masjid is too packed. Instead of using your money to sleep with prostitutes and gamble in casinos, why don't you use the money to build masjid? Rich Muslims do. They gamble away in casinos. Build a masjid. At least it is sadaqah jariyah. When you are in your grave, you get a barakah. I was in Tanzania. Some masjids, the people pray in the streets, not big enough. They need more masjids. Go and build a masjid. Instead of using your money to sleep with evil women, kafir women, and to gamble in casinos, giving your money to kuffar by gambling. So you spend in the path of Allah. Don't be the man who Allah will say to you, I was hungry and you did not feed me. I was thirsty, you did not give me to drink. I was naked, you did not give me any clothing. You will say, you are Allah, how can I give you to eat? You will say, Allah will say, my servant was hungry and you did not feed him. Had you fed him, you would have found him with me today. You would have found the reward with me. Don't be that man. One of the signs of the last days, zakah will be a burden on the people. So, the sixth condition to be sincere to Allah is to spend in the path of Allah. The seventh condition is for you to practice al-wala wal-bara, to love and hate for the sake of Allah. Now, Allah said in Surah 60 verse 1, O you believe, don't take my enemies and your enemies for friends. O you believe, don't take my enemies and your enemies for friends. Showing them love and affection even though they reject faith in what came to you from the haqq. Allah told you in the same surah, Surah 60. I'm quoting to you from Surah 60, the very first ayah. Allah Ta'ala told you in the same surah, Surah 60 verse 4. Where is the ayah? Surah 60 verse 4. قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ إِذْ قَالُوا لِقَوْمِهِمْ إِنَّا بُرَآءُ مِنْكُمْ وَمِمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ كَفَرْنَا بِكُمْ وَبَدَا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ الْعَدَاوَةُ وَالْبَغْضَاءُ أَبَدًّا حَتَّى تُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ. Indeed, there has, Surah 60 verse 4, the other ayah. Indeed, there has been an excellent example for you in Abraham and those with him, the believers with him, when they said to their people, verily, we are free from you and whatever you worship beside Allah. We have rejected you, and there has appeared between us and you hostility and hatred forever until you believe in Allah and Allah alone. This ayah is talking about al-wala wal-bara. Abraham told his father and his people, adawa, hostility, baghda, hatred, have arisen between us forever until you believe in Allah and worship Allah alone. You are not a sincere believer, you are not sincere to Allah until you practice al-wala wal-bara. If you have friends who are enemies of the deen, you are a hypocrite. So you need to do self-analysis, muhasabatun nafs. Check yourself out. Do I have friends who are enemies of Islam? Because if you have friends who are enemies of Islam, you're a hypocrite. You're not sincere to Allah. So you need to check yourself out. Practice self-analysis. Look at your pool of friends. Do they hate Allah and His Rasul? Some of you, your friends are enemies of Allah and His Rasul. Why did I tell you to check yourself out, to practice self-analysis? Because Allah said, بَلِ الْإِنسَانِ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَا أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. Surah 75 verse 14. Allah said the best person to watch yourself is yourself because you are always with yourself. بَلِ الْإِنسَانِ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَا أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. Even though you might find a million excuses why you slip. You find a million excuses why you did haram activities. Kuffar, they need handlers. Because without handlers, they'll take an overdose of drugs and die the way Whitney Houston died from an overdose of drugs. Many superstars of Hollywood and Bollywood, they need handlers to look after them. Without handlers, they will be what? Self-destruct. But your handlers cannot be with you all the time, and because of that, Allah said, Balil insan ala nafsihi basira. Man is the best person to watch himself. Walau alqa ma'adhira. Even though you might find a million excuses why you did what you did, the haram, you are the best person to watch yourself. Al-wala wal-bara means to love what Allah loves and to hate what Allah hates. Some of you claim you love Allah, but Allah threw back your love in your face like a dirty rag, because you didn't practice al-wala wal-bara, you didn't love what Allah loves, and you don't hate what Allah hates. The 8th condition to be sincere to Allah is to make Hajj once to the house in your lifetime. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. Surah 3 verse 97. Hajj is a duty made compulsory by Allah upon mankind. Hajj is a debt you owe Allah. Hajj is a debt you owe Allah. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Hajj is a duty you owe Allah once in your lifetime, if you are able to do so. And whosoever is a disbeliever, by not upholding Hajj, by not believing that Hajj is farad upon him, by you not believing that Hajj is compulsory, you become a disbeliever. If you are a disbeliever, Allah does not need any of His servants, mankind and jinn. The Rasul said, those of you who die and did not make Hajj, and you can't give a good reason why you didn't make Hajj, you die the death of a Jew or a Christian. Let him die the death of a Jew or a Christian. I think this hadith was collected by Al-Bazzar or At-Tirmidhi. Let him die the death of a Jew or a Christian. If you die and didn't make Hajj and you can't give a good reason why you didn't go for Hajj, let him die a Jew or a Christian. I think it was collected by Al-Bazzar and At-Tirmidhi. Okay, shukran, yes. Al-Bazzar and At-Tirmidhi. So who are those who die the death of a Jew or a Christian? Those who deny that Hajj is farad upon them. And those who refuse to go to Mecca even though they had no valid excuse not to go to Mecca. They are the ones who died as a Jew or a Christian. The 9th condition is to do da'wah, to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. Because Allah said, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Let there arise from among you a group who invite the people to al-khair, all types of goodness. Enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, these are the successful ones. Surah 3, 104. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ. To enjoin the right and forbid the wrong is a religious duty. Especially when you're a scholar. You have to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. Some people like when their scholars dabble in zina. You know why? You can't stop them from committing their zina. They would be happy if the scholar, they'd be happy if you dabble in zina, so you can't stop him from committing his zina. Do you know that? They want you to dabble in haram so that you lose your moral authority. You can't preach against zina anymore. A'udhu billah. They don't want you to uphold morality. Allah sent 2 angels to destroy a township. When they got there, they found a pious man praying in the temple. They went back to Allah and said, how can we destroy the township? We found a pious man praying. Allah said, go back and destroy the township and begin with him first. Begin with him first because he did not enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. Maybe you can find this hadith. I read it in Al-Jawab Al-Kafi by Ibn Qayyim Al-Jawziyah. The Prophet said, not once did he ever frown when he saw the people doing haram. This man, not once did he ever frown when he saw the people dabbling in haram. If you know that you don't have the power to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, because they'll kill you, you have to do what the scholar did. The story about the boy and the king. He separated himself and lived in a cave. He's a scholar, he was a scholar. He realized if he should open his mouth, his head is gone. What did he do? He separated himself and lived in a cave. You are not allowed to mix with the leaders and cement their thrones. That's what the wicked scholars do. They realize if they open their mouth, they get sent to prison. So what they do? They cement the thrones of the apostate regimes. You can't do that. Leave the country, make Hijra if you realize that you will be persecuted. Haven't you read the Quran? Sometimes I wonder, are you reading the same Quran that I am reading? The story about the boy and the king. When the scholar realized that if he opened his mouth, his head will be chopped off, what did he do? He went and lived in a cave, separated himself. He did not go to the palace of the king and cement the throne of a wicked king like what these nowadays scholars are doing. People like Yusuf Qaradawi. He did not do that. He separated himself. So if you know that you can't enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, don't mix with the king. Ibn Mubarak, don't mix with the king and cement the throne of the apostate king. Don't do that. You can't do that. Because Ibn Taymiyyah said, مَتَى تَرَكَ الْعَالِمَ عَلِمَ وَاتَّبَعَ الْحَاكِمْ فِي حُكْمِهِ. Bring me the page from Ibn Taymiyyah's works. Volume 35, page 373. Whenever a scholar leaves off his knowledge and follows a ruler, a leader who goes against Quran and Sunnah, this scholar becomes an apostate, a murtad, and a kafir, who deserves to be punished in this life and the next life. This is what the wicked scholars are doing today. They realize they can't enjoin the right and forbid the wrong because they'll get sent to prison for a very, very long time. They'll lose their family. So what do? They mix with the king, they go to his palace, and they cement his throne. You can't do that. Because then this fatwa of Ibn Taymiyyah fits you. Volume 35, page 373. These are the fatwa we were using to bombard the Markhalis. That's why they ran away in the middle of the debate. These were the fatwas we were using to bombard them. That's why they had to run away in the middle of the debate. I put it to you, you have to tell them to come back for the debate. The debate isn't finished. We have many more topics to debate. We have many, many more topics to debate. Kufr duna kufr was only one topic that we debated. We need to debate the other topic. Is Tawhid Hakimiyya a bid'ah? You can't run away in the middle of the debate, you the Madkhali, the Saudi Salafi. His name is Hadi. You need to come back for the debate, because we only discuss one topic. Kufr duna kufr. What about, is Tawhid Hakimiyya a bid'ah? We need to debate that as well. The House of Saud, the Saudi regime, is it an Islamic state or is it Dar al-Harb? We need to debate that as well. We touch upon it slightly. We touch upon riba banks. And you said they established riba banks because they were under Iqra, duress. The people in the debate almost vomited when the Saudi Salafi said that. The kings who established riba banks, they were under duress, Iqra. Those who attended the debate almost vomited when the Saudi Salafi made that statement. Then we touched upon joining the UN, giving your bay'ah to the UN, which is a satanic organization. The UN sees itself as the sole body on earth to legislate for mankind. And nobody is allowed to veto a UN resolution. If the UN passes a law, every nation has to follow the law. That is shirk. When we mention the UN to the Saudi Salafi, he said the Prophet Muhammad did the same thing. Because when the Prophet Muhammad signed the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, it's just like joining the UN. He slandered the Prophet Muhammad during the debate. I hope the admins tape the debate, because he is saying we are making it up. He didn't say that. I hope the admins tape the debate, because the Madkhali is saying it's a slander. He didn't say that. And don't tell me you didn't tape the debate. I would be disappointed if you didn't tape it. Okay, shukran. Because the Madkhali people went to his room and asked him, did you say the Prophet Muhammad signed the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and what the Prophet Muhammad did is like joining the UN? Did you say that? People went to his room and asked him. He said, no, I didn't say that. Shaikh Faisal slandered me. I didn't say that. So you tape the debate. Okay, you tape it. Because people went to his room and asked him about it. He said, I didn't say that. Shaikh Faisal is a slanderer. He slandered my name. He made it up. I didn't say that. You have to tape every single debate. Because a munafiq will always say, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Now he said it, and we had 35 witnesses. Yes. I'm only saying that because maybe my ears, let's hope my ears did not deceive me. I heard it. So 35 witnesses heard it as well. I can't believe people can be so evil. They slander the Prophet Muhammad to spread their kufr and their zandaqa. Somebody went to his room, authentic Salafiyah, and asked him about it. No, I didn't say that. Shaikh Faisal has slandered my name. I did not say the Treaty of Hudaybiyah is like joining the UN. And when a person is a munafiq and you checkmate him, he'll lie his way out. Don't you know that? When you checkmate a munafiq, he'll lie his way out. Lie, lie, lie. Deny, deny, deny. To enjoin the right and forbid the wrong has to be done with hikmah. Because Allah said in Surah 16, 125, call to the way of your Lord with hikmah. It has to be done with hikmah. Because Allah said in Surah 16, verse 125, Ud'u ila sabil rabbik bil hikmah. Call to the way of your Lord with hikmah. Sometimes some of you say, why do you allow deviants to take the mic? Don't you know why? Don't you know why we allow the deviants to take the mic? We are giving them enough rope to hang themselves. That's why we allow them to take the mic. It's called to give them enough rope to hang themselves. The 10th condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to surrender to Allah. Because Allah said in Baqarah 208, يَلَذِينَ آمَنُوا أُدْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَةً. Or you believe, enter into Islam wholeheartedly. Now, I was a Christian before I took Shahada. Do you expect me to put up the Christmas tree on the 25th of December? I put up a Christmas tree on the 25th of December. One day I went inside a halal butcher's and he had Merry Christmas. I said, what do you think you're doing? How can you have Merry Christmas in your halal butcher's? He said, you Shaikh Faisal, you're a fundamentalist. You don't understand. I did not do anything haram because Jesus was a prophet of Islam. So if I say Merry Christmas, it's not haram. That was his justification. You are not allowed to have one foot in Islam, one foot in Christianity, one foot in Islam, one foot in feminism, one foot in Islam, one foot in male chauvinism, one foot in Islam and one foot in atheism, or to be an agnostic, one foot in Islam, one foot in democracy, one foot in Islam, one foot in racism, one foot in Islam, one foot in nationalism, one foot in Islam and the other foot in tribalism. You can't be like this. Allah said, oh, you believe, enter into Islam wholeheartedly. يَلَذِينَ آمَنُوا أُدْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَةً. and don't follow the footsteps of the shaitan. Enter into Islam perfect. I've seen some people in London and they take shahada and they smoke ganja, they burn weed, and I just have to leave them. I can't change them. They said, oh Shaikh Faisal, I know you don't like people burn weed, I listen to your CDs, but it's a necessity for me because I have been smoking weed since I was 15. If I don't burn weed, I will lose my erection and my wife will dump me. So in my case, it's a necessity. Then I met another sister in the UK. When she has her periods, it's very painful. So she burn weed, she said. I burn weed, Shaikh Faisal, because my period is painful. I know you don't like when we burn weed. These are some of the people I met, and these were my close friends. So if I was a Khawarij, how comes I didn't make takfir on them and I did not drop them out of my friendship? If I was a Khawarij, I didn't cut them out of my friendship. The British gave me a 9-year prison sentence for inciting the murder of kuffar. If I was a Khawarij, I would incite the murder of Muslims. The Prophet said the Khawarij, they kill Muslims. And they are friendly with kuffar. Now look at the definition of the Khawarij by the Prophet. They kill Muslims and they are friendly with kuffar. By this definition, you know who the Khawarij are. The apostate leaders. And the mad Madkhalis. Without me telling you who the real Khawarij are, you knew yourself. By you analyzing the definition. They kill the Muslims and they are friendly with kuffar. Then you know who are the real Khawarij. Not the Mujahideen. Not the Mujahideen. The Khawarij are the apostate regimes and the Madkhalis who support the apostate regimes. So the 10th condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to surrender yourself. Islam doesn't mean peace. What is Islam? Islam bil tawheed. To surrender to Allah with tawheed. One qiyad lahu bil ta'a. And to submit to Allah with obedience. وَتَبَرُّ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ وَأَهْلِهِ. And to renounce shirk and the people of shirk. That's the definition of Islam given to me by my sheikhs. When I asked them to define for me Islam, they didn't say Islam in peace. The sheikh who defined Islam for me was Abdullah Tuwaijri in Muhammad ibn Saud University. Abdullah Tuwaijri. Islam bil tawheed. To surrender to Allah with tawheed. One qiyad lahu bil ta'a. And to submit to Allah with obedience. وَتَبَرُّ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ وَأَهْلِهِ. And to renounce shirk and the people of shirk. Allah swears by himself, you will never become believer until you allow Muhammad to judge between you in your dispute. And when Muhammad passed the verdict, you have no resentment. Surah Nisa, verse 65. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Nisa 65. Nay, by your law, they'll never become true believers until they allow you, Muhammad, to judge between them in their disputes. And when you give them the verdict, they don't have any resentment, resistance to your decision, but instead they submit wholeheartedly. So Allah swears by himself that you will never have Iman until you surrender, until you practice taslim, which is to surrender wholeheartedly. In Surah Ahzab, verse 36, Surah 33, verse 36, Allah Ta'ala said, it is not right for the believing man or the believing woman that whenever Allah and His Rasul should pass a verdict, that you should come with your own opinion in regards to that verdict. ما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم. The 11th condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to have sabr whenever a calamity befalls you. That is the 11th condition. To have sabr whenever a calamity befalls you. Without sabr, you are going to insult Allah and you are going to commit suicide. Don't forget, Allah warned you in Baqarah 155. Listen to the warning. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Listen to bring me Baqarah 156 as well. And certainly we shall test you with something of fear, khawf, hunger, joy, loss of wealth, lives, and fruits. But give glad tidings to the sabirin, the patient. To those who, whenever a calamity befall them, they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Truly to Allah we belong, and truly to Him we shall return. You might have 5 kids, the one you love best die in a car accident. I was in somebody's home in South Africa, Johannesburg, at the breakfast table. I said, you have wonderful kids. How many kids you have? Oh, I shouldn't have asked that question. You have wonderful kids. How many kids you have? The sister broke down and started crying. I said, why are you crying? She said, Shaikh Faisal, one of my sons died in a car accident. But the husband didn't cry, the mother cried. I can't understand the love between a mother and a child. It can't be explained. The father didn't cry, but the mother cried. And he died some 15 years ago in a car accident. His friends came for him and they went gallivanting in the car. The car turned over and they died. I lost one of my sons in a car accident. This is a test for you to see your child died before you. So Allah warned you in the Quran, we will test you. وَنَلَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ. We'll test you with fear, joy, hunger, naqs min al-amwal wal-anfus wal-thamarat, a loss in wealth, lives, and fruits. I was watching a documentary and the foot and mouth disease hit the UK. Prince Charles came on TV and said we need to give them money for the sheep they lost because they might commit suicide. Prince Charles. In some countries, the farmers, they borrow money from the bank to plant the crops, and the rain didn't come, the crop failed, and they commit suicide. That's another documentary I watched. The farmers borrow money from the bank to plant. The rain didn't come, the crop failed, and they committed suicide. To be sincere to Allah, you have to be patient with the calamity that befall you. I put it to you, there is nothing in Quran and Sunnah that says you should be pleased with a calamity. Because to ask a Muslim to be pleased with a calamity, you are putting on the Muslim a burden more than he can bear, or more than she can bear. However, you should be patient with the calamity. You should be patient with the calamity. There is nothing in Quran and Sunnah that says you should be pleased with a calamity. However, you should be patient with the calamity in order not to insult Allah and in order not to commit suicide. The 11th condition to be sincere to Allah is to be patient with a calamity. Because the Rasul said, Ajaban li amr mu'min, wondrous is the affair of the mu'min, and this is only for the mu'min. When good comes, shakara, he is thankful, wa kana khairan lah. When bad comes, sabara, he is patient, wa kana khairan lah. Wonderful and marvelous is the affair of the believer. And this is only for the believer. The 12th condition to be sincere to Allah, you should make hijra for the sake of Allah. Because Allah told you in Surah Nisa, verse 97, Inna ladhina tawaffahum malaika zalimi anfusihim. Those who the angels snatch their souls, they say to them, why is your situation so pathetic? They will say, Kunna mustad'afin fil ard. We were weak and oppressed in the land. The angels will say, wasn't Allah's earth spacious enough for you to make hijrah? Verily, as for those whom the angels take their souls in death, while they are wronging themselves as they stayed among the kuffar, even though immigration was compulsory upon them. It was far for them to make Hijra. The angels say to them, in what condition were you? Why are you in a pathetic state? They will say to the angels, we were mustad'afin, weak and oppressed on earth. The angel will say to them, wasn't Allah's earth spacious enough for you to make Hijra? Such men will find their abode in hell. What an evil destination. What a hapless journey's end. So because of this ayah, Nisa 97, the 12th condition, to be sincere to Allah is that you make Hijra for the sake of Allah. I met many people, they cannot leave Europe and America. They love the dunya. They are like the wife of Prophet Lut. Prophet Lut, she couldn't make Hijra. Prophet Lut's wife couldn't make Hijra. We have many women today and men, they belong to the Aqidah of Prophet Lut. Prophet Lut his wife was a kafir woman. Prophet Lut, his wife was kafir. So for you to be unable to make Hijra, you belong to the Aqidah of the wife of Prophet Lut, who was a kafir woman. When Imam Mahdi comes, many people will reject him because they can't make Hijra to join his army, the Mahdi's army. They love the West. Why do you want to live in the West? Can't you see in the Western countries they legalize gay marriages? It's humiliating to live among them. The reason why you live among them, you have no ghaira for your deen, no jealousy. You are the youth. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Shaikh Faisal, where can we go? I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Shaikh Faisal, where can we go? The house of Saudi is no better. If I open my mouth in Saudi Arabia, I'll disappear. You're better off living in the Gulf countries than to live in Europe and America. At least you can learn Arabic. And when you become fluent in Arabic, you can read the books of Ibn Kathir and Ibn Taymiyyah with no sweat. At least you get benefit out of it. And you won't see gay advertisements on TV. At least you won't see gay adverts on TV. Many of you living in the West, your daughters become prostitutes and your sons become homosexuals. No wonder when they had the Mardi Gras in London, I saw apostate Muslims marching among the homosexuals. That's what happens to people when they stay in Darul Harb. Your children become low-life scums of the earth. Your daughters become prostitutes and your sons become homosexuals. Why? Because you did not make Hijra. You're better off living in the Gulf countries than to live in Europe and America. The best treatment I got was from the Arabs in the Gulf. And the worst treatment was from the Kuffar in the West. These black and white Kuffar that you are living amongst in the West, they are the armpit of humanity. They are the lowest of the low. No morals, no ethics. They are the armpit of humanity. At least Mitt Romney, he said, I don't want gay marriages. He took a stance. Mitt Romney, presidential candidate for the Republicans. A marriage is between a man and a woman. Obama took the opposite view. He endorsed gay marriages. So he's going to win the election because the gays control the media. They're going to promote Obama. Obama is the best thing since sliced bread. Obama is the best thing since sliced bread. The best thing since the discovery of the computer. Obama is the best thing since the computer. He endorsed gay marriages. He's going to win a landslide victory because the gays control the media. I would like to be proven wrong that Obama did not win the election. Because I always think I know fiqh al-waqi. I always think I know fiqh al-waqi. Let's see if I can be proven wrong this time. Hijra from Darul Harb is important. There are 3 Dars in the world. You have Darul Kufr, a land where there is no Sharia, but they are not fighting Islam. They don't put Muslims in prison, innocent Muslims, and they don't kill Muslims. It's not compulsory on you to make Hijra from Darul Kufr. Countries like Venezuela, South Africa, Argentina, Brazil, Jamaica, Cuba, these are called Darul Kufr. It's not their policy to kill Muslims or to lock up innocent Muslims. The other country is called Darul Harb, a country in which they kill Muslims or they lock up innocent Muslims. They lock up innocent Muslims or they kill Muslims. That is Darul Harb. Countries like the UK, the USA, Israel, Russia, India, these are Darul Harb. And the third Dar is called Darul Islam, the land of Islam where there is Sharia, in which your 6 sacred things are protected and safeguarded: your life, your wealth, your honor, your akal, your lineage, and your deen. Hijra from Darul Harb is compulsory. Hijra from Darul Kufr is mustahab. Mustahab means recommended. So there are 2 types of Hijra. Hijra from Darul Harb to Darul Kufr, and then Hijra from Darul Kufr to Darul Islam. Hijra from Darul Harb to Darul Kufr, and then Hijra from Darul Kufr to Darul Islam. When a Darul Harb is established, then Hijra is compulsory from both Darul Kufr and Darul Harb. Because when Medina was established, the Muslims who were in Ethiopia, they went to Medina. Ethiopia used to be Darul Kufr, and Mecca was Darul Harb. The 13th condition to be sincere to Allah, you need to reject the Tawhut. You can't believe in Allah and then believe in a false deity. When you believe in Allah, you are a half Muslim. I put it to you. When you believe in Allah, you are a half Muslim. You are not a complete Muslim. Do you know when you are a complete Muslim? When you believe in Allah and then you reject the Tawhut. Then you are a full Muslim. The evidence is Baqarah 256. فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالتَّاغُوتِ وَيُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدِ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى لَا انْفِصَامَ لَهَا. Those who reject faith in the Tawhut, the false deities, and then believe in Allah, they hold fast to a grip that cannot break. لَا انْفِصَامَ لَهَا. Baqarah 256. To believe in Allah means you are practicing half of the Shahada and you are a half Muslim. When do you become a full Muslim? You become a full Muslim when you reject the Tawhut and then believe in Allah, like Allah told you in Baqarah 256. The Tawhut is false deities like Buddha, Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani, Dr. Tahir Qadri. Do you know why Dr. Tahir Qadri is a Tawhut? Because he allows people to make sajda to him. And he's happy when they do it. It massages his ego. Okay, admins, bring me a link where people can be seen making sajda to Dr. Tahir Qadri, a Barelwi. He likes when people make sajda to him. Because you are massaging his ego. That is it. Barelwis doing break dancing in the masjid, and they're making sajda to Dr. Tahir Qadri, and he likes it because you massage his ego. Now, Jesus is not a Tawhut. Muhammad is not a Tawhut. You know why? Because they did not allow people to worship them. For you to be a Tawhut, you have to know that the people are worshipping you, and you allow them to worship you, and you enjoy it. Then you become a Tawhut. So this retard, I post you the link, Dr. Tahir Qadri. He's a Tawhut. Because people are making sajda to him, and he allows it to happen. He enjoys it. He wants to be worshipped. That is a Tawhut. I've posted the link from YouTube. You can watch it yourself. Tawhut also means the Kafir courthouse. Surah Nisa verse 60. Alam tara ila alladhina yaz'umun annahum amanu bima unzila ilayka ma unzila min qablik yuriduna an yatahakamu ila at-taghut wa qad umiru an yakfuru bih. Nisa 60. Haven't you seen the hypocrites who claim that they believe in what came down to you, O Muhammad, and what was revealed before your time, that they go to the Kafir courthouse for judgment, even though they were commanded by Allah to reject faith in the Kafir courthouse? That is Tawhut. The Kafir army, that is Tawhut. That is another example of the Tawhut. Surah Nisa, verse 76. الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا. Those who believe fight for Allah, but those who are kuffar, they fight for who? At-Taghut. The Kafir army is Taghut, and all of you who join a Kafir army, if you die in the fight, you commit suicide to be in hellfire to abide forever. The only army you're allowed to join, according to what Allah told you in Nisa 76, is the Mujahideen. The only army you can join as a Muslim is the Mujahideen. If you join any other army and you die in the fight, you commit suicide to be in hellfire to abide forever and ever, because you die as a kafir outside the fold of Islam. What's the evidence? Nisa 76. The Kafir army, that is Taghut. A tyrannical ruler, that is Taghut. What did Allah say? اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to the Pharaoh. إنه طغى. He's a Taghut. Surah 79, verse 17. اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Surah 79, verse 17. Every tyrannical ruler is a Taghut. And when you give your bay'ah to such a ruler, you will become a kafir outside the fold of Islam. And Ibn Taymiyyah said, the Islamic scholar who gives his bay'ah to the Taghut, he is a kafir as well. Ibn Taymiyyah Fatawa, volume 35, page 373. The final condition to be sincere to Allah is for you to do jihad in the path of Allah, to uproot kufr and shirk from the world. Because Allah Ta'ala said, وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةً. Fight them till there is no more fitna. وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ. Until Allah alone is worshipped in the land. Anfal 39. Surah 8, verse 39. وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةً. Fight them till there is no more fitna. What is fitna? Fitna is shirk. Fitna is shirk. That is the tafsir. وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةً. Fight them till there is no more fitna. All the scholars of tafsir said fitna means shirk. This is the last condition for you to be sincere to Allah. To do jihad to uproot shirk from the land. To do jihad to topple the apostate regimes. Because the Prophet said what? Topple the leader if you see clear kufr. What did the Rasul say? Topple the leader if you see clear kufr. Sahih Bukhari. So the Prophet is telling you in Sahih Bukhari, topple the leader if you see clear kufr. And the Manakhali say, leave them in power. It is qadr Allah for them to be in power. Who are you going to listen to? The Prophet in Sahih Bukhari or a Manakhali? Topple the leader if you see clear kufr. A Manakhali say, no, leave them in power. They are in power because it's qadr Allah. Brothers and sisters, this is the end of our speech for today. How to be sincere to Allah. I'll take 5 questions from the floor. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Inshallah ta'ala, Allah reward you for all your efforts. Can you please tell me, Shaykh, what would be considered to be a valid reason for not being able to perform Hajj? Lack of money is a valid reason. Lack of money is a valid reason. For a woman, no mahram is a valid reason. If she make Hajj without a mahram but in a group, her Hajj is accepted. Lack of good health is a valid reason. Your health doesn't permit you to go all the way to Mecca. That's a good reason. To be locked up in prison is a valid reason. Because freedom is a condition for you to make Hajj. Lack of sanity is a valid reason. There is no Hajj on a madman. The Hajj of a madman is batil. It's not accepted. I'm taking 4 more questions. Where are they? I live in the Bay Area, unemployed. Recently I have been offered a job which requires of me to make up or translate stories for kuffar or their relatives for asylum appeals or work visas on basis that they were prosecuted abroad about their sexual orientation. These stories are not true, but the San Francisco immigration is more likely to accept the application. Is this job permissible? Working as a translator for an army that occupies a Muslim country makes you a kafir, but to work as a translator for immigration doesn't make you a kafir. That job is not haram. The translating job, which is haram, is when you work on the battlefield translating for a kafir army which is occupying a Muslim country. But to work as a translator for applications for any type of application, for example, immigration application, I don't know of any scholar who said that job is haram. And I don't want to make up my own Islam. That job is not haram, working in an office translating for lawyers, attorneys who are immigration lawyers. That job is not haram. Okay, next question. Bismillah. Where can we find an up-to-date list of countries which are Darul Kufr? I'll give you the definition of Darul Kufr and Darul Harb, and then you'll make the list yourself. Any country which is a kafir country, but they don't lock up innocent Muslims, the way Babar Ahmed is locked up for a decade now, no charge. They don't lock up innocent Muslims, and they don't kill Muslims abroad or at home. That country is classified as Darul Kufr, and you're not allowed to do anything to harm them. Don't make enemies out of them because they have not declared war on the Muslim community. Like Jamaica and Argentina, Brazil, South Africa. I was in South Africa. The Muslims have the South African government in their pockets. That's how close the Muslims are to them. They have the government in their pocket. But if the country is a kafir country and they lock up innocent Muslims like Kenya, or kill Muslims, Uganda, Kenya, those countries in the Horn of Africa, Burundi, Ethiopia, that country is classified as Darul Harb, the land of the enemy. Any country that lock up innocent Muslims or kill Muslims is Darul Harb. And the laws of Darul Kufr are different from the laws of Darul Harb. In Darul Harb, if you borrow money from the banks, you don't have to pay it back. In Darul Kufr, you pay it back, but not in Darul Harb. If you are in Darul Harb and you borrow money, you don't have to pay it back. Because Abu Basir used to rob the caravans coming from Darul Harb, the caravans of Mecca. And the Prophet did not stop him from robbing the caravans of Darul Harb. This branch of knowledge is so sensitive. One day I was on holiday. I went to Turkey to translate a book from the book Natural Instincts. I said to my wife, let me give you a private lesson in the hotel. I was speaking to her. She said, who else did you say this to? I said, nobody else, only you. She said, I hope you don't say that to anybody else. Because this knowledge is too much. People can't cope with it. I haven't spoken on Darul Harb in details. Why? Because the Muslims are so weak and the hypocrisy in their heart is so strong, they can't cope with the topic Darul Harb. Because hypocrisy has become rife in their hearts. And they love the kuffar more than the kuffar love themselves. So for me to speak on the topic Darul Harb, they can cope. How many sheikhs told you about Abu Basir robbing the caravans of Quraysh and the Prophet turned a blind eye? How many sheikhs told you that? It's in the seal nectar, but how many sheikhs told you about Abu Basir robbing the caravans of Darul Harb, the caravans of Mecca, and the Prophet turned a blind eye? How many sheikhs? I want to know which sheikh told you about it. If there's a sheikh who told about it, tell me his name. I'm sure they will, that part of Islamic history, the seerah, they shove it under the carpet. They shove it under the carpet. Abu Basir, the caravans of Quraysh. Getting married secretly. To get married secret is halal. Secret marriage is halal. But we're talking about something else now. Secret marriage is halal. Ahmad Shakir, a great scholar of Egypt who lived in the 1950s. He had 2 wives, and the first wife did not know about the second wife until after he died. Secret marriage is halal. No scholar said it is haram. The most they say it is makruh. But we're talking about something else. Abu Basir Prophet used to rob the caravans of Quraysh. The Prophet knew he was robbing the caravans of Quraysh, caravans of Dar al-Harb, and the Prophet turned a blind eye. Why? Because in Dar al-Harb, the laws of Dar al-Harb are different from the laws of Dar al-Kufr and Dar al-Islam. The Prophet turned a blind eye because he was robbing the caravans of Dar al-Harb. And when you cripple the economy of Dar al-Harb, they won't spend their wealth to kill Muslims. I'm taking 5 questions. Where are the others? Ask your local sheikhs to talk to you about Abu Basir. And ask your local sheikh to derive the lessons from Abu Basir. Go and ask your local sheikh to talk about Abu Basir and the rules of engagement of Dar al-Harb. Hikmah is wisdom, is to say and do the right things at the right time, at the right place, in the right manner. That's the definition of hikmah. To say and do the right things at the right time, at the right place, in the right manner. That is the definition of hikmah. Hikmah means wisdom. Allah says, يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah gives wisdom to whom He please, and whomsoever Allah gives wisdom to, such a person was given wisdom in abundance, goodness in abundance. Surah Baqarah 269. Baqarah 269. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah gives hikmah to whom He please, and whomsoever Allah gives hikmah to, that person was given goodness in abundance. Baqarah 269. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Okay, that was the last question. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.